later program. Thank you. Good morning to everyone. My name is Bandile Masuku. I'm the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Community Safety. We have invited all of you to be part of this engagement, which is an important engagement for us as a committee. You would remember that and recall that part of our standing mandates as a legislature, one of them is one of lawmaking, the second one is on oversight, the third one is on public participation, and the fourth one is on cooperative governance, meaning that we would want to also forge relationships and also forge partnerships and forge working together from different sides of government, from different tiers of government. I would like to acknowledge the leadership of the South African Police Service, who are here, as always, willing to take part in engagement. I think we truly appreciate it, brigadiers, and also acknowledge the leadership of the department who's here mandated to be part of us today, and also acknowledge our guests who come from different stakeholders who are here. Also, I've not seen most of the committee members for a long time. Welcome, good to see you. And we hope that we are going to have a very fruitful engagement. We've got different patrollers from different structures, from the different parts of our province. We just had a few apologies that we had received from the leadership of the board of the CPF of Gauteng, also from the HOD, acting HOD of the department. Those are the apologies that we have received, but it doesn't deter us from engaging in this important matter. Because we started late, I'm not going to go through all what I prepared, but just to simply say that you are all welcome. This is a very important step in resetting what the acting minister has called the reset agenda. As a committee, we have realized and appreciated the role that community policing and patrollers play in terms of working towards preventing crime and fighting crime. And we know where the patrollers are effective, there's generally low levels of crime in those areas. There are contradictions that we have to deal with in terms of the functioning of patrollers, in terms of functioning of CPF and the law. I'm hoping that the leadership of the South African Police Service will assist us to lay the basis of the environment that relates to community policing. And we truly appreciate yourselves to be here. We want to see, as Gauteng, because this matter will be on the national agenda, but as Gauteng, we must be leading in the discussions. And I think our view is that anything that works in Gauteng will work everywhere else in the country. Of course, there are parts of the country that are not similar to ours, but community policing is important in different forms or another. So this engagement is to put the issues on the table. What are the challenges? What are the issues? What could be done better? And I'm certain that we'll be able to take the discussion forward in formalizing some of the aspects. As a last comment on this is that we really appreciated the introduction of the traffic wardens as they were. And now we are faced with a restructured traffic wardens, and part of it, of the traffic wardens in terms of the objectives, was to make sure that they strengthen the work of our law enforcement agencies on the ground, ward-based, and functioning in that space. So with those words, I would like to welcome all of you for this engagement. I've outlined at least the purpose, and we are hoping that we will have a fruitful and an incisive engagement, and feel all welcome. I've noted 2 apologies. I'm not sure, Apelele, do we have other apologies that we have noted?
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, members and colleagues. I have 2 apologies with me, one from Honorable Manamela and one from Honorable Adams. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think we can note the apologies, and let's then proceed, or maybe before we proceed to so we're going to have 2 presentations in this space. Brigadier Joseph will do the current state, and we had hoped that we're going to get a presentation from CPF, but they are not here. And then we're going to have a presentation from the department. I think there's a duly appointed person to lead that discussion. They will indicate.
Before you jump to apologies.
On apologies?
Yeah, because yesterday Honorable Inyati has reported sick.
Okay.
So I think that apology still stands today, still sick.
Okay.
And if the meeting prolongs till after 2, Honorable Mahlabe will have other commitments.
We won't get to.
Okay.
So the program is distributed. We're going to have 2 presentations, and then we're going to have responders and respondents, which will be mostly the people. We have 2 structures that represent the neighborhood watches. They will give us a sense of also what they do in terms of watch. And this is a doctor's handwriting. This is a doctor's handwriting. It's Andreas. Okay. And then we're going to also have a respondent from MESA who will also give what they are doing around the issue of community safety. And then Sifa City, Miss Mabel Silepe. I'm not sure if you use that name, but fine. I like it, Mabel Silepe. Sifa City will then respond, and will then open up for everyone to have an engagement. This is not the last engagement. It's going to be a continuous one. I know there will be people who would want us to have an overnight solution, but we are working with ourselves as a committee committed to making sure that as Gauteng, we properly have a functioning community policing structure within the laws and within what we have in terms of the prescripts of the Act. With those words, the agenda is set out there, and then we will end. I'm sure by 2 o'clock would be long done with this engagement. Brigadier Joseph, thank you once again. You always, we don't take it lightly. We really get honored all the time that you respond to our call and be part of us. We truly appreciate it and extend our gratitude also to the PC about that. Thank you. Over to you. Yeah, maybe in the meantime, did I pronounce the surname Versteeg properly? Did I okay. Versteeg, okay. Yeah, and then we have, I'm not sure if Mr. Khater is here. Is Mr. Khater here? Duma Khater? Not yet. Okay. All right, over to you, Brigadier Joseph.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson, all the honourable members, all the seniors from different departments within community safety and the other government departments that are here today, the leadership of the community patrollers that are with us. I'm Brigadier Joseph. I'm the Provincial Head of Visible Policing in the Gauteng Province. And I was requested to do a presentation on the status of community policing forums within the Gauteng Province, as well as the Community in Blue process. If we don't understand the Community in Blue after the presentation, you will understand it. I could also ask everyone in the House to please refrain from taking any photographs of the slides. It's not allowed. I don't want to find it on TikTok or on the wrong place. If you want a copy of the presentation, come and see me and I'll share it with you. Thank you. I'm going to skip some of the stuff, just quick. The contents, the table of contents we'll run through as we go along. The purpose of the presentation is to share with the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee and the committee itself the status and functionality, governance and management of community police forums in Gauteng. Let's go to the background, which is extremely important. If we look at the terminology that is used, I think it's just going to set the tone for the rest of the meeting. Remember, as a South African police services, we are governed by the laws of the Republic of South Africa and the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. We then also have our own internal standing orders, regulations, and force orders that guide us on exactly what we can do. So we are a very rigid organization when it comes to that type of stuff. What is the Community Policing Forum? Community Policing Forums, the CPF, was established as a statutory structure to strengthen cooperation between the South African Police Service, the local communities, their primarily developing crime prevention strategies, and monitoring police service delivery. CPFs are not voluntary community organizations operating independently from the police. They are legally recognized structures established in terms of the law. This one I take out here because the writing on this computer is a little bit small. Sorry about that, Honourable Chair. Then we go to the Community in Blue concept. As I said, we must understand the Community in Blue concept. The Community in Blue concept talks about community patrollers within the South African Police Services. The Community in Blue concept is also a document that finds itself in the legislation of the Republic of South Africa. The community policing philosophy is an approach that focuses on police establishing partnerships and enhancing working relations with members of the communities. The philosophy requires police to inherit a proactive approach to address public safety concerns. Integrated and community policing philosophy, smaller manageable sectors, it involves the assignment of police officers to a particular sector, which encourages regular patrols and increased contact with members of the local community. It's talking about sector policing and how it derives everything else that follows from there, from your blocks, from your streets, up until it reaches the provincial level where the Community Policing Board sits, together with the senior management of the South African Police Service. The deployment of patrollers within Gauteng, over and above our traditional ones that we have some at the schools, but we also have a group that is called Siyabangena. This group facilitates deployment at areas throughout Gauteng when needed for them to assist us with specific taskings. The concept of Siyabangena Community in Blue Patroller has been endorsed by the Gauteng War Room and as a standby safety ambassadors intervention force multiplier to be deployed at hotspots. This force multiplier will be managed from the district level. Each district has been allocated 100 Community in Blue patrollers as an additional resource. The special project will be supported by the office of the head of department, the HOD for community safety. The most important one, I'm sure we all should understand this, and it's important for us to then go and read up on this and understand what it is. Policing in the country at the moment is no different to what the rest of government does. We are all working in a one government approach at this moment for us to deal with crime and various other aspects within the Republic of South Africa. Cabinet approved the Integrated Crime and Violence Prevention Strategy during 2022 as a whole of government and a whole of society approach to crime and violence prevention, which replaces the National Crime Prevention Strategy. The purpose of the ICVPS is to ensure each department and sphere of government fully comprehend their roles and responsibilities in the implementation of safety programs. This strategy has 6 pillars summarized as follows. The reason I'm bringing this in, because we'll see, together with the CPF, the community policing forums, the community policing boards, as well as our community patrollers, exactly how this pillar, which talks about us fighting violence and crime within our country, where they fit in. The first one is an effective criminal justice system. Under the effective criminal justice system, it is important for us to all understand we all play a role in that, to ensure that perpetrators are arrested, the cases are investigated. First of all, they are identified, they are arrested, cases are investigated, and at the end of the day, they're brought before court and there is positive prosecution and they are found guilty and then removed from society. Early interventions, which talks about our children that are at schools, our children that are on the streets, our children that are in our homes, and how we can intervene at a very young age for them to work, to move away from violence and not move in that direction, that at the end of the day, that we lose these children. So it is important for us as a society and as a government to make sure we have interventions in place from a very, very young age to nurture these children and to lead them in a specific direction. Victim support is very, very important. And even from our community patrollers, when we come to victim support, the community patrollers assist in bringing victims to the South African Police Services, bringing victims to the other departments so that they can be dealt with. And that is a very, very important pillar, because a victim that is not supported will be a victim forever. So that is important for us as well. Effective and integrated service delivery for safety, security, and violence. So that is what we talk about when we conceptualize crime and see what the root causes of crime are and how we at the end of the day stand together to put operational plans in place to alleviate this. Safety through environmental design. Just let's put it once again with our CPFs and our community patrollers. The fact that we talk to councillors, we sit in meetings where councillors are present. We go there, we identify areas where the environmental design is not conducive for us to reduce crime. And if we make it known and then at the end of the day do follow-ups until it changes, and also take it upon ourselves in specific areas like this to make sure we change that environmental design so that it can be conducive for us, as law enforcement, for the residents of that specific area or the business owners in that area. And this one is a very, very important one, the final one, that's why we've put that inside there, is active public and community participation. So when we're dealing with crime and violence, the South African Police Service, who's responsible for various issues, but the safety of the residents of the Republic of South Africa, it's important for us to understand that we have reached out to people to come and assist us. Now on this form of assistance, it might be through volunteers, it might be through SAPS reservists that we recruit, it could be our community patrollers, it could be our people that are helping us in our victim empowerment centers, and all of those different ones. If we stand together, we will have impact on the actual crime picture within, for us, Gauteng, but in the Republic of South Africa. I'm not going to touch on the legislative framework. It just tells you exactly where all of the stuff comes from and how it's regulated. And then it gives you the specific acts. Some of them I've mentioned inside here, and also on some of the things that we've talked about, for example, the South African Police Guidelines for the Establishment of Crime Prevention Partnerships, and that is all documented, and you can get that if you go and Google those words, or you go and Google community policing, or you go and Google community blue patrollers, community patrol groups, and all the different safety structures. You'll find it there. You can read through it and you'll understand exactly where we all fit in. And it's not just people that are placed somewhere. There's legislation that guides us to say this person can do that person can do that. The South African Police Service should be doing this. Government should be doing this. Okay, the most important one now is the roles and responsibilities. Community policing is an approach that seeks to address the following factors: establishing a lasting partnership between the police and all communities with the goal of enhancing community safety and enhancing the quality of life. It's simple. That's why we are there, for no other reason. Enhancing the quality of information available to the police and the development of a proactive and problem-solving approach to crime and violence. Where will we be if we don't have community-based intelligence? We'd be running around blindfolded in this province. If it's not yourselves and other citizens that are involved in this that bring this to us, at the end of the day, we won't even know what your need is. You bring us your need, we must look after your need, and we must account for what you have brought for us. Thus, we have committees such as this, to which we are expected to account and say, this is what we've done. These are the people we've approached. These are our target groups. This is how we're going to define this problem, and this is how we're going to resolve this problem at the end of the day. I can't do it on my own. If I don't have the residents of the Republic of South Africa with me, how do I solve it? Because I'll be working blindfolded. Providing communities with a visible and accessible policing presence in the area, which serves to increase public confidence in the police and deter criminals. Now, the community in blue talks about that as well. Is the visibility within the area? Yes, the blue uniform must be there. Yes, we've got private security companies that are also there, that also form part of the E2. But most important, if we have our community patrollers, ever since that project was started, they had a definite presence because of the uniform they wore. And that uniform that they wore was also translated to them being a partner of the South African Police Service and for them standing for what is right in that community and making sure the job is done. We have designed the community in blue concept, and there's community in blue regalia that is worn, which is worn, if you go to the Free State, you'll find the same jacket there. If you go to Limpopo, you'll find the same jacket there. In Gauteng, we have that. So that is the one that talks to the community in blue. But the community patrollers, the conventional patrollers that have been there for years and years and years, it does not exclude you. We are taking everybody through that process. The most important part of that process is the very first document you get when you go and join, is the code of conduct that you sign. To say, this is my behavior. When I wear this uniform, this is what I'll do, and this is how I'm allowed to behave. And then on on the actual document itself, you sign, and it should be redone every third year. To say I still understand what is expected from me, and this is what I'm going to do. Aligning the values of the police service with the values of the community they serve, and should also aim to produce officers who can interact with their communities with sensitivity and respect for local norms and values. So, I'm not there to police you, and you're not there to police me. We must do it together. And when we do it together, we must have an understanding of what our needs are. And if you tell me to do something and I say, but I cannot do that, the law does not allow me to do that, we should understand that. And if we're not happy about that, there should be other structures we can report to. So at the end of the day, we've got mitigation to whatever problem we have, and we can resolve that problem and not have to take that problem to the streets or to other places. We can resolve that problem within the structures that are constitutional structures within this organization that exist. And we can go there and we can answer what we have to answer and sort it out so we can move forward. Okay, the Provincial Instruction 5 of 2021, this is specifically for Gauteng. For this one we said the functions of the CPF will also include promotion of accountability and local police to the community and cooperation of the community with the local police. That's what I've just said. Monitoring the effectiveness and efficiency of the police serving the community, examination and advice on local policing priorities. Like I said, you must tell us what you need. Yes, I can read it from a document, we can analyze the crime, but that actual need, no man, it's Joseph. He sits on that corner, he does that. That's the way we resolve these problems, and we move them away. Distribution of resources from the top down, and also from the bottom up. From yourselves. You should also have certain resources that are available. If it's your time, it's a resource. If it's your availability after hours, it's a resource. If it's you coming in and bringing us the problematic areas and linking us with those different community leaders, it's a resource. So from the bottom up and also from the top down. But we must also then evaluate the way complaints and charges are handled, patrolling of residential and business areas, and keeping records, writing reports, and making recommendations to the station commissioners, the district commissioners, the provincial commissioner, and the HOD for community safety. That is the level that we should go to. If your station commander hasn't resolved that problem, you should come to the province eventually. And then if we don't resolve it with the structures that we have, and then it'll be sent to the civilian secretariat, it will be sent to the HOD. There will be a platform that is created for it to be mitigated and to be discussed. Okay, and then what we've also got here is the next one talks about the utilization of vehicles within the province. This just guides us on the vehicles that we have procured, how they should be utilized, and at the end of the day, to enhance policing within the province. Promotion of accountability by the local police to the community and cooperation of the community with local police. Monitoring the effectiveness and efficiency of the police serving the community. Participation and advice on local policing priorities. Evaluation of the provision of services such as distribution of resources, the manner in which complaints and charges are handled, patrolling of residential and business areas. So that all then falls back into that Provincial Instruction 2 of 2023 and Gauteng SAPS Provincial Instruction 2 of 2023. If you Google it, you'll find it. It's there in detail. You can read it. That is our demarcation. Gauteng is a province, but obviously from the province we deal with the stations. The stations then form a district. The district then, all 5 of them together forms the province. So that is the demarcation of the South African Police Services, and I'm sure we all are familiar with this and understand what it is. The city of Johannesburg being the smallest one there, but with the most police station and the biggest population. Okay, so the composition of the community police forums within the province, as the chairperson asked. The community police forums function under the provincial board. The provincial board is a constitutional structure that is elected by yourselves. From the bottom, when you start on your blocks, start on your streets, your station executives, to your district executive, then it goes to the provincial executive, and then this board is formed and it serves for 5 years in its term of office. So that board oversees the community patrollers, the CPF structures within the specific province, and then from the districts they have a similar one at the districts. So we've got 5 of those district boards that report to the provincial board, and then obviously we have the station executives at the different stations, which are 145 stations that must be covered. I think that is self-explanatory, and we must understand that due process is taken for them to be elected, and then once they are elected, they obviously hold their term of office, and it continues like that, as legislated, as well as it also appears in the documents that guides community policing within the country. The Siabangela deployment we've touched on. Then the school deployment, the schools identified by the Department of Education are targeted, yeah. And on our last patroller group that were deployed at the schools, there were 5,000 patrollers that were deployed at critical schools. And we know how this works. This works under a specific project that is run by the Department of Education. And then from there, they are supported by South African Police Services as well as the Department of Community Safety, and we work closely together on that. So when we come to our community patrollers themselves, over and above the schools, the other ones are deployed at station level. They're deployed within a sector, and then also within that station itself, wherever they are needed. And then also at the district level, when called upon, they'll be utilized there. And at provincial level, like for example now, when we had the March and March movements on the 30th of June, our people were mobilized on the ground. They remained in their station areas. They kept on giving feedback through so that we could deal with whatever situation there was. Last year with the G20 summit, our community patrollers were deployed in areas where the G20 summit was moving through and where they were needed. And they went there and they were deployed there. With the Live Golf tournament this year as well, there were a lot of community patrollers from the Douglasdale area and the surrounding stations that formed part of that and came and deployed within that event space to to create visibility, enhance visibility, and at the end of the day, to ensure that we have the right reporting mechanisms and we have people from that specific community that are there, that are assisting us. At the moment, we have over 26,000 community patrollers that are registered. These 26,000 we call the old conventional patrollers. That's a database we have. But out of those 26,000, and we're moving to cover them all, we've already transferred 13,682 of them into the community in blue. So for those 13,682, there's a proper database within the South African Police Service where we report to National Head Office and them to the Ministry on these are the people that we've done, and these names are there and are only removed once there's a resignation or the person is removed by that specific station. So our database is run by Lieutenant Colonel Ramashala from our office. There are monthly reports, quarterly reports that go to the Division of Visible Policing and Operations, and then those people's names remain on there. In terms of the 5-year policing plan in Gauteng for this year, which is 2026-2027, the first year it will be going on for the next 5 years, we also say establishing a lasting partnership between the police and the communities with a goal of enhancing community safety and enhancing the quality of life. That's why we are here today, to find out what the problem is with the groups that are here, but also to take their requests and look at their requests and also assist where we can. We're also talking about other patrol groups that are here, neighborhood watches, and different ones that are not part of this process, and we would then also guide them to form part of this process. Enhancing the quality of information available to the police and the development of a proactive and problem-solving approach to crime and violence. The most important there is community-based intelligence. Ensuring that the police service addresses the primary needs of the community and thus account to the communities that they serve. Providing communities with a visible and accessible policing presence in the area, which serves to increase public confidence in the police and deter criminals. Aligning the values of the police service with the values of the communities they serve. It should also aim to produce officers who can interact with their communities with sensitivity and respect for local norms and values. I know a lot of times with our community patrollers and our CPF people, there's sometimes conflict at that level, which is down there, where they don't see eye to eye, but that conflict must be resolved. There must be a platform where they can sit and talk about it, and it should not leave that space. By the time it leaves that space, it should have been resolved. And
let's try to wrap up.
I'm wrapping up.
Yeah.
Okay. For the year from 2023 until now, we have also received allocations of certain amounts of money, which we got from the Division of Visible Policing and Operations to the Office of the National Commissioner. And if we take it in 2023, 2024, we got 20 million rand, of which we purchased vehicles, mostly. Vehicles were purchased with that amount of money, and then also then spent money on other items, which I'll touch further. And 24-25, there was 10 million rand which was allocated. 25-26, we had 5 million rand allocated, and in 26-27, now there's 5 million allocated, and on that 5 million, we are still busy with the procurement. So vehicles was the most important part of that procurement, where there are vehicles made available for CPFs, as well as for your gender-based violence and your victim support. We've also procured the reflective jackets for the CPF executives, for patrollers, for rural safety, spiritual crime prevention, boots that were given as tools of trade, and promotional items which we then hand out when we do activations and imbizos and different things in the different areas. And there's also a card machine that was procured that will now give the community patrollers a card, which is like an appointment certificate, which you will move around with. And through that, I submit. Thank you, Honourable Chair.
Thank you. I think this is a broad overview of the work that has been done and what we have. Most of you, because you have been in the sector, I'm sure you really understand what Brigadier Joseph was talking about, but it's just also to set the scene so that we're almost all of us in one pod, in one mind. We'll continue with the next presentation, and then we will then engage from the respondents, and then after the respondents, it will be us. What is important here is the vision that we must all have in mind. I think we must all, I don't want to say dream together, because when we say dreaming, it means that it might not be possible, it might not happen. But I also want us to visualize the ideal structures of community safety in the communities. You know, I think all of us want to see that every ward in the province must have community patrollers. Every infrastructure of government, clinic, school, offices of government, infrastructure like traffic signals and so on are all protected from all the wards. I think all of us must think it from that point of view, and all the patrollers that we have must be well trained in different levels of skills, you know, intelligence gathering, first aid, crime. You know, it's a broader concept that we also need to understand, you know, in terms of the work that we do. So I want us to somehow envision what we want to see, because I think we do have an opportunity to structure. You know, when I listen to the minister, the acting minister, you'd appreciate the passion that he has and the work that he did when he was MEC in the province, you know, and I think he was one of the pioneers, MECs, in terms of establishment of community policing structure. So let's envision. Yeah, let me not use dream. Let's envision what we want to see going forward. We all know what's actually happening on the ground. Thanks, Ma. You can come in.
Greetings to the Honorable Chairperson, Dr. Masugu, and all the honorable members, all the organizations, stakeholders supporting us in the mission of community policing, the leadership from SAPS, Safer City, the academics that are in our midst, and all the leadership from the Department of Community Safety. My name is Memme Makane Sibanda, and I'm the head of Provincial Secretariat within the Department of Community Safety, also responsible or in charge of a program referred to as Community Police Relations, where we have a team of officials that work very closely with the CPF and at province up until local level. We've been asked to also give the same presentation, where we give account on the functionality, governance, and the management of the CPF. So I will not dwell into the outline, but just to indicate that our purpose then would be to outline the three areas, but also in our request, Chairperson, we were asked to also give comments on the concerns that were raised around patroller victimization, threats, and refusal for patrollers to exercise their constitutional right to freedom of association through threats and contract termination. So I will go through also responses of the interventions as well as findings that we've had in line with the concerns that were raised. In terms of functionality of CPFs and community patrol teams, I can report that as the Gauteng province, this is a function that we would not find in other provinces, Chair, because we have been innovative to extend our assessment of CPFs. According to the norm, we would assess all CPFs at station level, but since last year, we started a new process as part of our APP to assess both the district and the provincial boards on their functionality. And we use a scorecard, standards that we have set in order to assess if our provincial and district boards are also implementing in line with policy frameworks that are there. And we can report that the assessments that we did for the provincial board, we scored them at 56%, as functional, meaning that at least there's reasonable ground that they are doing what they are expected to perform. And at district level, we did the same exercise, and I must indicate that we have non-functionality that we have picked up at Western District, as well at 9%, and Sidibanks District, which is at 22%. Ekurhuleni District is sitting at 64%, and then Tshwane District at 83%. But further on, when we did these functionalities, we also picked up that Central Corridor was doing quite very well at 93%, Northern Corridor at 97%, with Eastern Corridor at 100%. This is a status quo now that we unpacked as per the corridor operations. Western Corridor sitting at 86%, and Southern Corridor sitting at 100%. So this is in line with the different standards that we assessed on the functionality of our provincial and district boards. Let me also indicate that we do the same with the station boards, and I think on another level of the assessment, you can also see that the percentages differ. So you'd find that the provincial board is strong on administration, but would be weaker in terms of your financial administration and stuff. So we have systems which are quite technical, where we assess them as per the standards that are there. And then the program objective of CPFs is to ensure that there is enhanced police visibility. You'll see that this also is in line with what SAPS has tabled. So they need to be there as our forces on the ground. And also they have the crime prevention networks that they do, establishing local networks where they support crime prevention and community-based intelligence. And I must say, Chair, the intelligence that we are receiving from the community through the CPFs and patrollers has helped us as a province to really have a decline in a number of crimes. Then we also have an objective of strengthening partnerships, where we deepen collaborations between SAPS, municipalities, as well as communities through the CSFs structures that are there. And then lastly, the objective is the spirit of volunteerism, engaging citizen participation and co-production of safety programs. This is a critical component, because anyone who comes and becomes a CPF member, whether a community in blue or patroller, the bottom line is these are volunteers. People decide to come and volunteer in order to support policing. But I think with academics in our space, it's an area that we really need to research, because now this volunteerism system, it's now being approached as something that due to high unemployment rates, our people expect that they will also get these stipends, which it has been difficult for government to sustain provision. Roles and responsibilities, I think they have been covered by Brigadier Joseph. I will pass. And then there's recruitment and selection in line with a framework. There's a framework that governs our working with the community police forums as well as patrollers. So recruitment of CPFs and SAPS, recruitment, is done jointly with SAPS. And SAPS is the one that decides on recruitment approach and the targeted number jointly with the CPFs. And then we screen. SAPS conducts a criminal record screening of all recruited volunteers, and there's a selection process that is applied, where final list will then be supported by records that indicate that there is no criminality from our volunteers. And then we go through step 4, which is induction, where SAPS at station level conducts this induction session for selected patrollers, obviously supported by the department. And lastly, it's the leg of training, where accredited training programs are identified by the board, SAPS, and the Department of Community Safety. Just to indicate, Chair and members, that this is a leg that is currently struggling because of the financial constraints that we are experiencing as the government. Community Patroller Program just registered a database, outline on the database of registered patrollers. This is a slide that gives a picture of the numbers that we as a department have in record. You would observe in the previous presentation, Brigadier Joseph mentioned a 500, let me try and use this so that I can point. The number 428 there, it has been reflected as a 500 in the previous presentation. Okay, it's not it's showing, but we can indicate that the numbers are dropping solely because we used to pay our patrollers on Siavangena stipends every month for 12 months, but of late, because of budget cuts, we have adjusted to a system where we can only pay stipends for 6 months. So a number of our patrollers are exiting the program because it's no longer giving what has been desired. But we also have 446 coordinators at district, CPF administrators, and within the provincial coordination team. And then lastly, the last block, which shows 23,990. This is the overall number of patrollers in the province. There's a breakdown there in terms of corridors. So the number of patrollers in that number are those that are clubbed and termed conventional patrollers. Sadly, Chair, this is the bulk of our patrollers, but we cannot afford to give the stipends to that bulk of 23,990. So there's a dire need that the mission that the minister is coming with of resetting the agenda must enable us to at least be able to support and cover those. We have a total, Chair, of 891 patrollers that have since been appointed as the, well, CPW, it's an old concept, but they are now called Gauteng traffic wardens. So meaning that the opportunity of appointing warden was open even to our patrollers. Those that could qualify applied, and we have a record of 891 that are now Gauteng traffic wardens. Sadly, we have a number of 61 patrollers that are reported as deceased. The types of deployment, we have daily voluntary deployments. These are recruited by local CPFs, deployed by SAPS at station level. There's no payment of stipend. It's the group, Ekibulen Kayona, the conventional patrollers. And oversight of the conventional patrollers is done through the CPF structures at station level. So this is a program that is quite active and happening across our 145 stations. We had deployment for festive season because you'd know that come December, there is a lot of a hike on crime, and we would then have a number of conventional patrollers placed on festive season deployment. But in the past 2 years, the stakeholders will agree that we have failed to even deploy for festive because of lack of budgets. School safety deployments are currently happening. The Department of Basic Education, or GDE, Gauteng Department of Education, is in charge of the deployment. This is a number of about 5,000 patrollers. And then we also had kiosk patrollers that were assisting us across the station, but kiosk has since been also discontinued because there were no funds. We are only continuing with Siabangena in terms of the stipend paying program. We also have provisions as a department where we cover death, injury, as well as resources to our patrollers that get injured while they serve, or patrollers that would die while in the course of business. The categories are outlined as follows. There is a 1.5 that is given per day where a patroller was injured and is hospitalized. There is death on duty, where we give 100,000. There is permanent disability, which is 100,000, and ex gratia. Currently, we are more on that leg of ex gratia, where 20,000 payment is given to a patroller that dies, because we recognize that they've been serving and assisting government, especially on policing, to attain its targets. Highlights and the dynamism of community patrollers. This is what also is the core that we boast on. Community intelligence patrollers provide intelligence to law enforcement agencies, driving numerous successful arrests. They assist with crowd control, managing key provincial events. For an example, the IEC elections, they are there to assist us with even queue management, particularly our Siabangena patrollers. They have a model that they use which has been effective throughout the province. And we also utilize that when we have other bigger activities within the province. They also assist with GBVF picketing. They stand in support of GBVF brigades at courts across the province where there are cases that are pitched at courts. They also partake in school safety, safeguarding of our school infrastructure in partnership with SAPS, the wardens, as well as MPDs in the respective metros. They also feature assisting with night vigils. Our religious sector, at times they have night vigils and they are robbed, so patrollers have also been quite instrumental in making patrols or being deployed at local churches, especially during Easter and other seasons of faith-based forums. Elderly support, assisting senior citizens on pension payouts days and escort them safely to their various Tish communities. Festive deployments, I've spoken to that, though it has not been effective. And lastly, they assist with referral networks, where they would refer lately, Chair, with the Tswada campaign on substance abuse. We've seen patrollers also being quite instrumental in referring substance users so that they can be taken for assistance by social development. Governance for CPFs and community patrollers, I will not dwell into this. I think Honorable Brigadier Joe has covered all those legal frameworks, but safe to say we know that the establishment of CPF in line with the SAPS Act, it's mandated there. But there is amendments that came with the community policing policy, which shows that this is supposed to be shifted to a department, but currently we are then eagerly awaiting the amendments to be finalized of the SAPS Act so that at least this rightfully sits where it belongs. Stakeholder obligations, in terms of community safety, our role is to oversee program implementation of CPFs and quarterly assessments, and also maintain patroller database, which is the number that we have recently. We did Operation Ziveze, where we called out all patrollers to come so that we can verify their existence and we update our database regularly. We provide resources and training. We process death, injury claims, and stipend payments. In terms of the board, their role is implementing the framework and reporting system, ensure weekly, monthly, and performance reporting, provide updated database to the department, mobilize resources, and keep personal files. And I think the role of SAPS was already outlined. So in terms of management and oversight structure, we have provincial level, which is the board. We are working very closely with the board, and within the board, there's a person designated as a patroller commander. This is our person then who coordinate all the corridors. The sub-district level, the station CPF level, as well as the ward and sector. So supervision goals are done also through the board, liaising with various role players. This is just an organogram structure that shows the linkages between CPF structure and community patrol teams. Chair, what is key to emphasize is that patrollers are part of CPFs. That's how we view and work with them as the department. We will not work directly with patrollers, but they are the subsidiary of the CPF. So the CPF is the mandatory recognized structure. I will just pass that one. Community patroller establishment and governance. The framework that we're using is the 2022 one, and I've already spoken to the 4 types. Code of conduct, I think Brigadier Joseph indicated that when a person becomes a CPF member, there's a code of conduct that you are sworn in. So that is what we also use as a base. This code of conduct is also part of the assessments that we do. When we go and assess CPF stations, these are standards that we use to check if people are in line and in order. In terms of the community patroller program, roles of district coordinators, program structure at a glance, we've got a provincial structure which has districts as well as station, so there are coordinators appointed across the board. And as part of Siyabangena, we've converted some of the patrollers to assist with administration for these structures, especially because now we are assessing them on functionality. I will not bore you with that detail, but as my counterpart, Brigadier Joseph, indicated, the slides can be shared, which outlines the various functions of all the components. Let me go to the management of CPFs and community patrollers. In terms of attendance management, obviously we assess the registers that are signed at station level, and especially on the stipend paying project, Siyabangena, there has to be proof that a person has been going on day-to-day basis to areas of deployment, and they sign, and we also have supervision of those registers by SAPS and the board, and there is verification that is done, and ultimately we submit for payment. We have our CFO present here. No stipend is issued where a person could not prove that they reported to their areas of duty. The M&E monitoring process is linked to set standards. It's what I've indicated even earlier on. It's quite small, Chair, but these are standards that are ranging from management of subsidiary structure to activism-orientated board, and also the problem resolution. So here, we want to also see that they are handling complaints, because complaints from patrollers can come to the department, but they must go to CPF structures at police station level. So we assess them, if are they receiving these complaints, are they addressing these complaints timeously, and those reports are given as we do assessments. Hence, you would see there's a scorecard, and in my earlier slides, I was indicating percentages. So where that is not happening, we score them to a lesser amount. CSF board's assessment process flow: we secure a meeting with the board, we notify the board, we conduct interviews, we do preliminary findings, we do monitoring, and then there is a submission of final assessment report, and we compile the report. And we do not end there, Chair. We also have interventions of how we address those gaps that we picked up. The Gauteng adopted standards for CPF at station level. I think it's there, at least you can see the standards and categories of assessments, they are outlined there. Same thing for patrol groups. Resourcing and capacity building for community patrollers. Here we were giving uniform, Chair. You'd know that there were those navy blue jumpsuits that we procured as a department. By now, if they still have them, they are no longer navy blue, they are turning gray, because they've been using just that one uniform. With lack of funding, we have been struggling to ensure that at least they are representable. But thanks to SAPS, Community in Blue Jackets, at least they have been providing them. So you'll either see them in those overalls or the Community in Blue Jackets. So it's a critical gap. We also were issuing raincoats, but that was in 2017. We are now in 2026. Equipment and communication tools, they were push-to-talk gadgets, which is a very beautiful technological device that we were issuing patrollers, but they were withdrawn because we no longer have funds to sustain. They were helping us with GPDS location. We were able to even monitor if a patroller at a school is moving around or is just staying in the gate. And we also issued torches, but again, financial constraints, we have stopped. Transport requirements, we've provided 25 VW crafters, now sitting at 24 because one crafter was on accident and it's written off. So we are sitting with 24 of these. They are solely used by Siabangena patrollers. So this has saved us a lot of costs, because we used to spend paying private transport companies to ferry Siabangenas to all operations from your Wednesdays to Monday. So at least now we have these buses that they are using to their disposal. There's a Mahindra bus for the board and a number of others. At least here we are at least sailing on. Training and development, it's a gap. For the past 2 years we have failed, because we can no longer afford to train them. But we believe, as we have shared, we are part of the task team. Yeah, Minister Firoz, we've submitted that the training of patrollers needs to be prioritized. So just at a glance, Chair and members, the costs from 2020 to 2021, how much we have been spending on this program to date. So you will see we were at some stage at 10, we were at 36, your 22, 23, 24 financial years were good years, because then we could implement all that we could do, including giving the communication material, gazebos and all that they have. But since 24, 25, it dropped. 25, 26 was last year, which dropped. Hence, we could no longer even afford to give 12-month stipends. We rely on National Public Works stipends that they give, and then we are able to then give stipends to our patrollers. This current financial year, 26-27, you can see we have dropped to 6.7. Leona Public Works, if there are budget cuts in government departments, they are not an exception. Now, but they keep on cutting what they give to us. So we really need a divine intervention. Community patroller program, breakdown of numbers, I think I've spoken to. Now let me get to the complaints that were lodged through our patrollers Bahlanganani organization, which is an NPO. These are the concerns that were raised. One was threats, victimization, and intimidation of community patrollers by certain officials and coordinators. And two was that patrollers are discouraged from exercising their constitutional right to freedom of association through threats of contract termination, and also treatment and management of patrollers, including practices that may undermine volunteerism, morale, and the effectiveness of community safety interventions. Now, Chair, what we've done here after we received the written submission that went all over to Premier, and I believe even to the legislature. And Chair, let me also indicate that it has now become a habit that we get concerns from patrollers, even from CCMA, even from public service. So there is something that I think the legislature needs to assist us here so that we are able to have systems of how do we really handle it when now we have CPFs that are seeming to work parallel to other neighborhood structures. So there is a disjuncture which only legislatures can help us, because if law says CPF is the only legislated structure, we have to work with CPF, and anyone who's operating outside of CPFs, it would seem we are excluding, and it's not supposed to be that way. So it's only legislators that must help us to amend the laws that we have as a country. But all corridor directors then were requested to investigate the reports and of alleged victimization and intimidation of our patrollers in their corridors. Obviously, the door would be going to stations and checking with the chairpersons and the structures at station level. But so far, there wasn't much that could come out of complaints, except one in Ratanda, and there was another one that was reported in the Ekurhuleni corridor. So I took it upon myself, Chair, this week, because looking at the submission that was given, it did not make sense that we will have a formalized submissions that there are complaints. But when you go to stations, there aren't such complaints. So somewhere there is a gap, Chair. So I engaged the founder of GPHO, Re Mkonto, this week, just to check with Ganti, Pilama complain, because at stations, they are not registered. So something is just not gelling well there. So then he started forwarding some of these complaints. And I believe, Chair, we need to have a system of how we use or handle complaints. These complaints must register at CPF offices so that as and when we do oversight as a department, we are then able to pick up these complaints. So there are certain complaints, obviously, because he sent, and I took it upon myself to also call some of these complaints. I think I phoned some ladies in the Tshwane corridor who really confirmed. But the disjuncture is the NPO has these complaints, but at the stations, the records are not talking to each other. So it's important, Babu General Mkonto, that these complaints must go to stations so that at least as we do oversight, there aren't any gaps. So, Chair, we will continue then to engage with the NPO, influencing them and advising them on systems that exist so that we do not leave any stone unturned. Where there are complaints of victimization, those officials or coordinators will have to face disciplinary actions. And then some of the findings, there were complaints of intimidation that were received from several police stations, Boschkop, Togoza, Etwatwa, Jablani, Ivory Park, Boysons, and Orange Farm. But when we then pursued to say, let them come in writing, we only received, I think there were 2 that came from Boschkop, but there was a whole lot of others now that are generated. Clearly, a system needs to be explained even to our stakeholders so that they understand how we work around issues of complaints. As a department, we are responsible for receiving complaints on police performance. But complaints on patrollers must go to CPF structures at police stations so that when we do oversight, we will then be able to handle those. The affected patrollers are deployed across several programs. Others, Chair, are beyond those that we are directly responsible for. We have patrollers about deploy good transport, some on Joko, some on Memeza and Singobile. So the board is in charge and responsible for those. So the threats that were made for removal of deployments through the Association of GPHO. The letters were issued by the provincial board indicating their disassociation. There was correspondence because, Chair, I think there's a problem. We can't have a CPF structure and then within there are members that are affiliated, but there are members that now belong to another structure. It causes friction. So these needs to be aligned so that at least we know if there is GPHO, they must hold the line, they must work with CPF, so that Tina, when we do oversight, no one is left on the periphery. And then contact details then were shared, and I think as the Office of Provincial Secretary, we will continue to then investigate, assisting the CPF to investigate all these cases so that we have peace and collaborations and partnerships that are healthy, because crime needs all of us to be in unison. Chair, I think that is not the last slide, but just a few identified challenges as I wrap up. Chair, the issue of high unemployment in communities. We have people volunteering not because, well, there is the passion of fighting crime, but also behind the motivation is people are unemployed. So when they volunteer, it's regarded as a mechanism that at least maybe one day we will be wardens, one day we all want to grow and develop. But I think as just government, we need to address the issue of high unemployment, because then it causes frustrations in the CPF structure. So where currently there will be struggles on stipends and volunteers wanting all these other submissions. And there's also, we must accept, Chair, that there's politically driven structures that are emerging. All the time when elections are approaching, we have a spike of marches. We have received petitions from very patrollers that we have, some who are CPF members, some who are from other neighborhood structures. So we believe that we need to formalize the role of CPF so that even all neighborhood watches know that they have to be affiliated under CPF. Parallel structures of CPFs, they are mushrooming, and I think it is a reason that desires the attention of all of us. Further challenges that were identified, I've spoken to budget constraints. We can no longer do what we used to do for our volunteers and patrollers, communication tools withdrawn, issues of transport limitations, uniform, and all those that I've mentioned before. In conclusion, Chair, I think a critical force multiplier is clear, it's there. We have 23,990 registered patrollers in the departmental database who support SAPs across the province, with 96% of CPFs and 95% of community patroller groups functional. So this is a positive element that we have. So we must be able to win the fight against crime. Civilian oversight is entrenched. We do those assessments. We have even grown from assessing stations. We are also assessing district boards as well as the provincial boards. Sustainability is under pressure, Chair, as we cannot afford lately to give the required support and systems. And then targeted support is required, especially for West Rand and Citibank boards, as they are featuring as non-functional system. And lastly, Chair, as a recommendation to the legislature, portfolio committee, is that the department seeks the legislature's support for the way forward, prioritizing funding for patroller resourcing and training, alignment between DCS and GDE on school safety, and reinforcement of CPF as the recognized statutory community policing structure. Thank you, Chair. I will stop there.
Thank you. I think this has been very helpful in terms of the first session that we have had, in terms of just laying the basis and the context in where we find ourselves. You know, it might be, a view that comes from the Community Safety Department and SAPS, and that's the reason why we then called other stakeholders who will then give us a sense from where they are and the work that they are doing. the most important thing that we need to have in mind is that we all want to make sure that this level of law enforcement does work and it's very much functional and there's proper coordination and proper understanding across all board. So I would request that we have a health break, 5 minutes, drink water, stretch, and then we come back at 5 to 12 to proceed with the respondents, which are organized stakeholders. Prof. Rakubu will be one of the lead, and then we're going to have one representative from a neighborhood watch or two, depending if they share their time, and then have safer cities presentation, and Memeza. They are here, no? Yeah. And then after that, we'll then open up for plenary for all of us to engage. We are going to nurse this process until its logical conclusion. When I say this process, I'm talking about formalizing and making sure that there's peace and harmony within the sector, and within the ambits of the law. That's our interest in engaging on this matter. There's nothing else that we're interested in, but it's just to make sure that we're able to understand. So this is the first step to understand and put the challenges on the table. Thank you. At 11:57, we all be sitting, and then we proceed with the next session. Thank you. Please stretch and drink water. There is coffee. Thank you. Can we settle in? We're going to start with the respondents from for the two presentations we have received. Prof. Rakubu will be the one that will be leading us with the comments. And then we'll then get both neighborhood watches to respond also, and then Memeza and Safer Cities. They must just be ready. Most of them have got presentations that they would want to give, but all of them will get 7 minutes each, so that we're able to give everyone an opportunity to then engage on this matter. This might be a longest session, but I think it will be very much helpful and fruitful in terms of engaging. I like that slide that you spoke about on challenges, but I think you omitted one challenge about the leadership of the CPF, whether at district and provincial level. Because if they are effective in leading, harmony would be created, partnerships would be done. You know, it's like I won't call it negligence, but it's going to be a lack of skill. You know, it's a diplomat who doesn't have good relationship with other people. You can't be, as a professional diplomat, but you are the people that you don't talk to. It doesn't come together nicely. You know, it's like a soccer player like Stolle in the World Cup who couldn't trap a ball, and it led to a goal. And this man is paid to learn to trap the ball effectively. But that day he couldn't trap the ball, and it led to a goal for Mexico. You know, so I'm just trying to give you the things that we are supposed to be having naturally because of where we are. But if we fail on them as a basic thing, it's a big actually problem. And I think the leadership of the CPF, for them not to be even to be here, I wanted it to be on record. I'm quite disappointed, you know, if they also undermine the processes of the legislature. Imagine on the ground what happens, you know. So it's something that we need to, you know, look at, and it might be the majority of our problems in terms of harmonizing the space is just on leadership. But anyway, let me not go on about the matter. Prof. Rakubu, over to you.
Thanks, Chair. Good morning and all protocol observed. From academic space, we all know we continuously monitor your development processes, programs, implementation, and so forth. So with community policing, I will rely heavily on the presentations provided and all literature pertaining to community policing policies and many other documents that are advising us. From the presentation, functionality must not mean existence. Functionality must mean more than existence. That's what I mean. Must mean more than existence. The department has reported remarkably high level of functionality. Of 145 CPFs in Gauteng, 139 are regarded as functional, representing 96%, while 118 of 124 community patrol groups are regarded as functional, representing approximately 95%. These figures are very encouraging at an institutional level like community safety. However, academically, they require second level of interrogation. We don't take it as presented. They require second level of interrogation. CPF may have elected executive committee, their meetings, their minutes, their patrol structures, their administrative records, but still have limited influence on the actual safety experienced by the community. You can report that we are highly functional, but it comes down to community. The current assessment standards themselves, they heavily rely or emphasize governance and administrative indicators such as your oversight, CPF portfolio, administrative functions. All these indicators are very necessary, but they should not become substitute for criminological outcomes. What happens on the ground with the existence of these structures, then now a distinction should therefore be made between structural functionality, administrative functionality, operational functionality, your community functionality. Because in the midst of all these aspects that have been mentioned, there's still training issue. Then we cannot get 100%. There's also criminological effectiveness that must be done. Now, what do we mean by that? Does community safety work or CPF's work contribute towards addressing local crime risks? Does it deal with victimization in totality, disorder, fear of crime, and police-community relationships? Do we even tap into that? Then now, the future monitoring system should then move progressively from asking, is the CPF functioning? Towards, then you move from that towards, what difference is the functioning CPF making to community safety? We no longer ask whether it's functional, but what difference is it making? Now, from the presentation, the paradox of high functionality and low capacity. There's an apparent contradiction between very high reported functionality and significant operational constraints. Significant operational constraint. And that can be in the, you can come and proceed in the midst of 3 years lack of training. From academic space, you should stop there. Crime evolves on a daily basis. So when you are not trained to be on par with crime landscape, what are you doing? Then later, we are coming to judge you that you were not doing things the way you're supposed to do. But it's a clear example out of criminology. SNS, they're saying I must go and deal with COVID, but I don't have medication and I don't even know how to administer. Then I'll give you antiretrovirals. Because that is the status quo from academic space that, okay, you cannot not be trained. You cannot not have communication equipment. Crime evolves. You now understand organized crime landscape. And also one of your mandates is to look into intelligence. How do you do that? With what knowledge? With what knowledge? So we will have another Madlanga where you will come and testify. Okay, your summary. Can a structure genuinely be regarded as operationally functional when the people expected to perform its functions lack training, communication equipment, protective clothing, and reliable transportation? Major question. Then, community patrollers have become a significant safety workforce, right? Because the department recorded 23,990 active registered general community patrollers. Now, this number is fundamentally changed the nature of policy discussion. It represents at almost 24,000 individual. Community patrolling cannot be treated simply as a small, informal volunteer activity. At that level, it represents a substantial civilian community safety workforce due to that number. Now, patrollers, you are expected to enhance police visibility. You observe, you report criminal activities, you gather intelligence, right? And participate in crime prevention operation under SAPS supervision. Similarly, you are described as force multiplier supporting through visible and intelligence gathering. Once citizens are systematically recruited, you are screened and that, the state incur increasingly significant responsibility to ensure that their mandate is very clear, right? Their training is appropriate. Mandate clear, training is appropriate. Your safety is protected. Your conduct is regulated. Supervision is competent. And accountability mechanisms are credible. Then the fundamental questions become, has the governance system matured at the same rate as the community patroller program has expanded? Has the governance system matured? Because the number is matured. Listen. Now, governance system, is it moving at the same pace as you are moving? If it was, we were not going to be questioning training, equipment, and. Literature suggests. Now, volunteerism, unemployment, and risk of expectation. There's an expectation,
As
right?
you conclude.
Okay, I will move from that and to go to, okay, we also dealt with community policing, collective efficacy, then let's move to, there are also political capture and parallel community structures. There's intimidation allegation that we term it is a procedural justice that can be dealt with. There's governance triangle, which requires greater clarity. Due to time, I will not tap into that. The boundary between community patrolling and policing must be clear. There's a blurred boundary here and there, and lack of training is an issue. Community intelligence issues. Now, we proposed new functionality model, community policing functionality and impact model. We should move away from what we've highlighted and deal with all other issues so that you can genuinely assess the functionality. You cannot assess functionality when on your side you do not provide mechanisms in place to ensure that you function. We are saying review the current definition of functionality in the midst of operational functionality and all other functionalities that are required. Commission an independent province-wide evaluation of CPFs and community patrol groups. Here you should examine not only whether structures exist, but their effectiveness, representativity and legitimacy together with impact. Prioritize accredited and continuous training. Crime evolves. No community patroller should undertake operational crime prevention responsibilities without appropriate induction, legal literacy, right? Human rights training, first aid, conflict management, crime scene awareness, communication, and clear rules of engagement. You do things as if you are health workers there while you are patrollers because of lack of training. Then strengthen independent complaint mechanisms because there are allegations involving intimidation, victimization, corruption, political interference, and abuse of power, right? Now, those should be, you should be what? They should strengthen independent complaints mechanism where now they should be reported outside an immediate command structure, be investigated transparently so, without fear. Then we should also protect community policing from political capture. Don't push your political agenda amidst crime crisis because that is what is happening. Introduce in evidence-led deployment. Not everybody can be a patroller because of hunger. Not everybody can be. Clarify volunteerism and stipend-supported participation. Be clear on that one. We're also saying develop minimal provincial resourcing standards and establish community safety impact indicators. Annual CPF reporting should increasingly demonstrate what changed in the community. You must not exist where there's high rate of rape. We come there 3 months, there's still high rate of rape, and then you continue. Obviously, you are not winning. Tell us why is it that the status quo still remains? So that is an academic assessment in a nutshell. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you did touch on most important aspects, particularly just the issue of the functionality. And functionality must not be equals to just existence.
Yeah.
It's something that we need to look at. And I was going to ask a question later about the scorecard that is being used, what constitutes the parameters that are getting measured on the scorecard. But let's continue. Let me allow Safer Cities, and then it will be followed by the Neighborhood Watches, and then Memeza. 7 minutes. Usually people who say that, they usually need 3 hours.
I'm not very good with protocol. Let me just say protocol observed to everybody. My name is Mabori Mabel Selepe. I come from a company called Safer City. I've got a presentation, it's quite long, so I'm not going to present everything. So Safer City is it's a private firm. What we do is sorry. Okay, thank you so much. So we deal with mobile apps for safety and security. And I'm here to give this presentation on behalf of our CEO, Mr. Theo Porolis. So whatever I say, if you disagree, you will have to contact him directly. So this is our presentation. Like I said, we're a private commercial firm, and we are in the business of developing mobile apps for safety and security. I myself, I come from Soshanguve, north of Pretoria, and I remember the days where we used to have street committees growing up, and I was very excited when I first joined Safer City, which is about 3 weeks ago. And then I started learning about this program when we attended an event in Sandton with the acting Minister of Police. The MEC was also in attendance, and to learn that the project going forward is to take the power back to the communities through the CPFs and community policing. So that's very encouraging for me. Okay, my presentation includes the following topics. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Safer City and about the app. I'm not going to go through everything because one of the questions that I asked at Safer City when I first joined them 3 weeks ago was, how is this app that you've developed different from the Gauteng mobile panic app? And I've actually downloaded it myself, the Gauteng. It's very good. I tested it. The response was very quick. I was very impressed. I mean, the answer from the control room was very quick. But obviously, because I was testing, I didn't ask for assistance. I did say I'm testing. But I understand that the actual response could be a challenge. I might be wrong because I've never experienced that firsthand. And then I'm going to talk to you briefly. I'm going to talk to you briefly about how we want to collaborate with government in your efforts to fight crimes in communities. And then I will conclude with the devices, the different devices that we have. Obviously, there's pricing here, but like I said, we're a commercial firm. You don't need to be concerned about the pricing, MEC, because obviously we want to assist. I have listened and I've heard about the constraints when it comes to availability of budgets. Okay, Safer City is a unified safety ecosystem using AI-driven technology to connect citizens, institutions, and emergency services. It delivers real-time emergency coordination, predictive crime insights, and wellness support, transforming cities and campuses into proactive, data-informed environments. We are very data-driven, focused on safety, efficiency, and trust. So more than just the mobile app, our main aim with this app is for us to have data intelligence to make a difference in fighting crime. Safer City is registered with CIRA and is part of the BI, Business Intelligence Protection Group, which has been in existence for over 30 years. About the app, like I said, I think most of you are familiar with the Gauteng e-panic. It will be more or less the same in terms of on face value when you open the app and you register. And then you click a panic and a medical armed responder will arrive at your location from a network of over 4,000 response vehicles and 850 ambulances. Remember, with this network, we've had to have agreed service level agreements that we've signed back to back with our responders. So that network, you can see, it's quite big. The app makes use of features such as Siri Panic, GSM tracking. So basically, when you've got the app on your phone, let's say, God forbid, you get hijacked and they take your phone, you can actually use one of the wearable app panics, or you can actually have a panic button as a lanyard. We use that a lot in Cape Town for students at the University of Cape Town and University of Stellenbosch, where if you know, students, as they do and as they should, they normally go out at night, and if something happens to the student, they take their phone, maybe they kidnap them, put them in the boot. We're able to track them with the GSM tracking, and we're able to send respondents, and then wherever that vehicle is going, we are able to follow and assist. And then there's also a family panic for unique features that's only available on Safer City. If you're interested in a family panic, you can talk to me about that after this. Okay, our purpose, number one, obviously to reduce crime. We all want to live in a crime-free society where we can thrive and have a better future. So through technology and partnerships, this is what we do. Assist victims of crime in GBV. We've got a very comprehensive network of psychologists that we have agreements with that do assist with GBV, except for the crime part. We also offer psychological support. Through technology and partnerships, we want to create a safer environment for businesses and citizens. That goes without saying. And then I'm going to, okay, I think this is important. We connect through smart cameras that are connected to our network to be able to also collect data intelligence in terms of crime. And smart cameras are connected to SAPS wanted vehicles and database. I also forgot to mention that I had Brigadier Joe. I hope you don't mind me calling you Joe, because I had they were calling you Joe. Brigadier Joe talking about E2. We're also part of the E2 project. We are integrated into the provincial CPF patroller network. We've got smart monitoring systems and integration, fixed panic buttons on camera poles that you might have seen as you're driving into Sandton, the Safer City cameras around this area. We are integrated into the SAPS 10111 Center Midrand via CPF JOG. We love CPFs. We work very closely with CPFs. Like I said, in Gauteng, we've got over 500 CPFs that we've got back-to-back agreements with in terms of responders. So in many cases, we have donated whatever communication equipment is needed, whether it's radios, and I'm sure some of you will be very familiar with the work that we do with the CPF, A Safer City. Okay, so I'm going to skip that just to say we've got presence, we've got a footprint nationally. And then our difference, I think I've mentioned it a little bit, but let me mention 2 or 3 things here. Integrated National Safety Network, subs, private security, and CPFs. We've got AI, crime hot spots, and predictive intelligence. We've got coders and developers that sit with us in-house that are every day working on the technology to improve the panics. What you see on the picture there is one of our panic buttons that, like I said, we use a lot with students. You can wear it as a lanyard, put it under your t-shirt, your jersey, whatever. And whenever you feel threatened, you can press that and you can get help. Number 7 on the slide is Track Me, family panic and self-activation. Here, sometimes you'll get a bit of a resistance, especially from husbands not wanting to be tracked by their wives. And but I think it's a very good safety feature if you like to be in touch and make sure that your family is safe. We've got roadside assistance, legal aid. Also, we've got Home Drive. Home Drive works as a Waze, but for safety and security. I don't know if you're familiar with the Waze app, that you can put a request for directions or for a map. If, like, for example, if I say I want to move from here to mainland Maine, in Pretoria, it will tell me this is the safest route. So it will give you information in terms of crimes. It will tell you at corner John Foster and N1 North, there's been 3 smash and grabs in the past 7 days. So you'll see as I go forward, and I'm going to conclude very soon, MEC.
No, yes, I was going to say as you 2 minutes to conclude.
Okay.
And I'm not MEC, you are going to, I'm the chair of the committee.
Okay.
The MEC is the premier.
The chair of the committee. Thank you for that. I did declare that my protocols are not in order, so I apologize for that. Okay, I wanted to show you just the heat map. These are some of the clients that we deal with. This is the heat map. So you can see all the crimes in the area that you are going to be stationed at, especially if you're driving. Like I said, the app will give you the safest route to travel. And on that note, I will conclude. Thank you so much for inviting us, the chairperson of the Community Safety Portfolio. And thank you so much to colleagues for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we do have a fair understanding of the work that you are doing, and it could be very much helpful with the work that the CPFs would be in terms of partnerships, which I think will come in handy. Can I then ask members, the 2 members of the Neighborhood Watch, to share the minutes in terms of their presentations? Yeah, I think he can start, then you'd close as a backline. Yeah, he can start, then you can be a sweeper. Or they can be their forwards. They are our forwards, they are the first ones, and then you will be our back in terms of the attack.
Thank you very much, Chairman. All protocols observed. I would like to say that as a member of the Helderkloof Neighborhood Watch that has now been operating since 2008, as a neighborhood watch, we are in the process of surviving. But we must also know that the country is also in the process of surviving. If you look at what happened to the railway lines, I'm an electrical engineer. I ran all the time the railways through my career. I'm now a pensioner, and I'm still trying to save the economy of South Africa. So you are the most important part of saving the economy of South Africa. That is what it is all about, because crime destroys the economy of South Africa. Then if I can just say from the ground off that when we start work with the police, This has been a long process. We've been building relationships. We've been able to get cooperation of the police. But the problem we have at the moment is the filling of vacancies. To run a sector without a sector manager is a big problem. Then also the vehicles for the sector managers to get there was also a problem. Then this management that we have, the tick box management, is one of the biggest problems that we have. You ask for reports, you ask for everything, you have all the tick boxes, and then you sit back. We have ticked all the boxes. For what must I feed all this information to tick boxes? My problem with that is to be noted. We want to see, like we've been said, we want reaction, we want to see. Now, as a patroller, I cannot patrol with all the potholes. You cannot observe and see what is happening in your community with all the potholes that you have to duck and dive. Then we are a neighborhood watch. We start off with neighbors. How many neighbors do you have? 8. God give you 8 neighbors. And what does he say? Love your neighbor. Not the neighbor's wife, the neighbor. Yeah? So with this 8 people around we call them your guardian angels. And without your guardian angels, you can't move through life. Have good relationship with them, because if you shout, who is going to come and help you? Your neighbor, nobody else. Build that relationship as part of your neighborhood watch. As a patroller, see that everybody having good neighborhood. Then you start with a street watch. Then you go to a block watch. Then you go to a sector block. And then you go up to your, and that is how you build from the ground up. And see that anybody that destroys this golden rule of having your neighbor is a very important one. Just then, one advice that we have, don't let security companies get into your neighborhood watch organization. They want to capture that. Then with regard to technologies, I can see now also that we have got the ability of using drones, especially in the areas where you cannot park. People that hasn't got homes, they stay in areas and then they cause fires and all those sort of risks that we have. Then our community, we serve our community. They have problems with potholes. The refuse do not get removed. For the last 2 weeks, we had no removal. That creates an hygienic situation, and we have got to solve that problem. Then there's water restrictions. Then, and I do not know with the Super El Niño coming, December you won't have any water. You know that. You can look at that. And then electricity, we went through a major phase of power failures. Your security systems doesn't work. You have no, how do you open your garage if there's no power? So all those problems that is there. But then, as far as we pay our taxes, we demand security. Then, as a neighborhood watch, we have to survive. Volunteers are very sensitive people. If you touch them, they move away. Now we have WhatsApp groups. We have all those systems, but suddenly people can join groups for free. We have to rely on membership. We do not get money from the province, as indicated. We do not see those millions as a neighborhood watch, but we must buy the lights, we must buy the reflectors, we must have all these jackets and all those sort of things to be within the law. But the only way that we can do compliance is with financials. Support, we do not get any. So the thing is, it makes it very difficult at this stage. Then as far as stipends is concerned, neighborhood watchers may not pay people for the services rendered. So what do we do? How much do the fuel prices go up? How much does it cost to patrol? It is quite a lot of money that you have to take out of your own pocket. So I just want to say thank you very much for this opportunity to share. my experiences that we have as a neighborhood watch, and I want to ask you, who is now in charge or in the positions, that good luck with the work. But we need a Marshall Plan to save the economy of South Africa. And because the police have derelicted their duty of looking after the railway lines, because the railway police was handed over to them, you can now see the results. Shame on the police. My apology for that. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Andres?
Good afternoon. My name is Andreas Oberlechner. I am the chairman of the Rhodocrans Neighbourhood Watch. I would like to thank the chairman and the board here, my fellow delegates, for giving me the honor of being here today and being able to address you. Thank you very much. The Rhodocrans Neighbourhood Watch has been in existence for 20 years, almost 20 years. We have grown from 15 households to over 1,500. We have put in place an ops room that runs 24/7. We run a emergency vehicle that we fund ourselves. We have first aid responder team that we train ourselves. We have a fire response team that we train ourselves. We have always understood the economic restrictions that we would be facing and have always understood that we would have to do these things ourselves. We have never sought or obtained any financial help from the CPF structures and have carried on regardless. Our expenses on a monthly basis are approximately 80,000 rand, which we cover ourselves. We fix our own potholes on the quiet because I've repeatedly been threatened with prosecution, but it has to be done. Our ops room deals with service delivery issues, with water outages, electricity outages, street lights not working, potholes, sewage leaks, water leaks. And the reason for that is simply this. Many years ago, I was called to a symposium at the CSRR as representative of the Neighbourhood Watch, where a discussion was held on what causes crime and is crime predictable. And the one fundamental ground or reason for crime has been, or predicting where crime is going to happen, is whether or not the community looks after itself. You look after your roads, you make sure that street lights work, you make sure that the place isn't full of litter, you make sure that potholes are fixed, and the crime drops exponentially. Because wherever the crime is being perpetrated, they can see that the community is looking after itself. And that's what has to happen. You need to be able to motivate your community to look after itself. Make sure that you clean the streets. Make sure that the service delivery issues are reported and followed through and carried out. And that's where you will find the biggest success. And if I have any criticisms at this stage as far as policing is concerned, my biggest problem is the failure of the enforcement of bylaws. If you don't enforce your bylaws, your other laws become the bylaws are far more important because you're starting from the ground up. Bylaws in Johannesburg have become advisory because nobody is there to enforce them. JMPD is missing in action. And if that's the case, then you're going to find that people do not respect the other laws as well. So there needs to be a drive to make sure that our bylaws are enforced. People do not dump illegally. People do not drive like absolute lunatics without consequence. Because if you do not respect those laws, why should I respect the other laws? And that, I believe, is a fundamental starting point. I am, to say, disheartened, to say the least, to see the dwindling budgetary allocations that the CPF structure is being given. everything has increased in pricing every year. Every year, everything has become more expensive. You know it yourself. You can barely make ends meet. And what do we have as far as financing is concerned? We have an annual reduction in the amount of money that's been allocated to ensure that our community crime is properly managed. I believe that is a major failing that needs to be addressed. So, it can be done. We have the lowest crime in the Roodepoort area, and because through our option, we are able to do a daily crime report and a monthly analysis of what has been happening in our areas, which is then passed on to our members. Our crime has gone down every year. Year on year, our crime has gone down because it's working, and it can work as long as the community participates in it. I know it costs money, and we are in a fortunate position that we are in a lower middle class area where people are still able to afford paying the membership fees to Neighborhood Watch. But without money, you can achieve nothing. And that needs to be addressed. That is something that you need to look at to try and get the crime down in your areas. Look, crime, for as long as the economy is what it is, crime is not going to disappear. However, the best
and maybe when you prepare the conclusion remark,
yes,
how much is your subscription?
Our subscriptions are 80 Rand a month. Just to conclude, where was I? Sorry, I've lost my train of thought.
Sorry, you were at the point of the dwindling, the financial constraints and
yes, I think so.
The decline of the budget.
What was I saying? I can't remember anymore. My apologies. But anyway, just let me finish off. It can be done. People must just become a community. You must become a community. You must get the people to stand together and not fight each other on every other point. So it can be done. We did it. And it can be done if you put your mind to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry for causing a slight dementia. Thank you. Can we get the last presentation on Memeza?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Honorable Chair, Pastor Masuku. My name is Tami Molefe. I come from an organization, a non-profit organization called Memeza. Most of you, Chair, most of the people in the room have met me by the work that we do in our communities. Memeza as a non-profit organization, so it's the need that we are not going to run a parallel structure. We're going to work with the structures that are already in the communities that we are in. We basically saw that, from when Memeza was born, it was a response with the scourge of gender-based violence in our community. However, we found ourselves over the years being aligned with the CPF. And we find ourselves working every day timelessly, trying to improve our community policing forums in the Tish market. So we have, I feel a bit cheated, Chair, because I'm only, as you are saying, I'm only trapping the ball. Because I'm a football player, I'm only finding myself having to trap this ball, even though I was not seeing it coming to me. Chair, I would have loved to, and I'm going to say this is a great platform as the portfolio committee that we could be presenting the work that we've done, the millions that we have invested onto the community policing forum via, a few initiatives. We have donated equipment, we have donated radios, we have donated marketing material, we have brought all the speakers that have came here. Brigadier Joseph spoke about the training that is needed in the community policing forums. We try to cover all those in terms of bringing that that element into our communities. I can give an example. In the past year, we've trained almost about 1,000 CPFs in various sectors. We have made them, understanding that they are volunteers, we also try to make them work ready, that even though they are volunteering, they shouldn't stay, because we found ourselves working with people that we've been working with for the past 10 years. But we say, let us give them at least basic certificates of first aid, as they've been said. We have given a few of those. We have given some even serious certification so that they can also get into the security spectrum. We've also given them mental health, knowing the work that they are doing in these communities. We really have done a lot, Chair, that I did say when I received the invitation, I said to Tabila, I said, you didn't do me justice, because everyone here has been bringing presentations. I would love to say to her, Chair, if you allow me, we are going to share a full report of the work that we've been doing in the past 5 years with the Portfolio Committee, so that we can be able to come when we get into the next session, because we really appreciate being invited to this, so that we can see and we can improve on the work that we've been doing and see how we can. As Bemeza, we believe in private-public partnership. So it means that as a non-profit organization, we go out into the public sector, into the private sector, looking out for funding, into improving the policing, community policing forums that we work with. In most cases, they're not. I've been hearing my two speakers, we're talking of budgets, how we are. We've seen that lack, and we've made it our mandate that we will go. We are the foot soldiers. We will write those proposals in order for us to get and capacitate the community policing forums that we work with. So without taking too much time, we would love to thank the work relations that we've been working with all the departments, SAPS, CPF. We've come to the right platform now that we will be able to share a lot of information on the work that we do with the other companies that we work with. So that being said, Chair, we have a lot of projects that we have deployed over the couple of years that we would love to share the reports, and we would love to continuously those reports, share them with the Portfolio Committee so that they can at least have an idea what MEMEZA does. If I was to take the presentation, it will take me more than 7 minutes, Chair. Let me end at that and say, we really appreciate the invitation, and we are there to share as much information as we can. We are across all 9 provinces. By virtue of us being in Gauteng, we usually come back home and do the work that we do in Gauteng before we can deploy it elsewhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we're going to get the last presentation from the patroller group, and they will tell us who's going to make the presentation. It's going to be 7 minutes like everybody else, and then all the other participants, please prepare your inputs. Be short and succinct in your inputs. We are only going to be allowed to speak for 3 minutes. So you must not speak things that you don't want us to know, that are not important. You focus on the important points that you want us to take home. So don't greet a lot and tell us about the weather. You just go straight to the points that actually are there. Over to you for 7 minutes.
Thank you, Chairperson. Ukamalamu Mangoba Nkabinde. I'm a patroller obuya eThema. I represent Gauteng Patrollers Hlanganani organization. Angizla ngiwani. Ngiza ne-database ama-patroller. This is 10% of the database ama-patroller. The other 90% sesinikezile uchair. So we come here to represent lama patroller la ngibonisa wona. So who is Hlanganani? Hlanganani is a provincial community that represents ama patroller. Our mandate is ukuthi si unify, si professionalize, si advocate ama patroller ukuthi asebenze free of oppression, free of economic exploitation with ISAPS, CPF and community safety and crime prevention. Commanders, morning. Morning, commanders. Morning, commanders. So, commanders. I'm going to keep it short. First thing, I'm a request, nama grievance, wama patroller, is that uguti funa permanent employment. As ugubhlungu sisebenza nama security guards, sisebenza nama traffic wardens, sisebenza sonke edireng ekolweni la emphakathini. Kodwa bona bayahola. Thina siholi. Bona ama traffic wardens ayahola, they get paid. Thina we don't get paid. Thina we work for free. And we work harder than bona. And we're doing the same job. So is that fair? Is that fair? As a human being, is that fair? So as a patroller, we feel ukuthi, as our patrollers are not being recognized. We want to be integrated into the system of government. We want to be deployed kuma prasa. We want to be involved kuma traffic wardens. Nathi sifuna ukhola njengabo. Le budget yama government securities, la government iphatala ama securities ngakhona to protect ama government assets. Nathi sifuna le mali leyo. That money must be allocated to us, ama patroller, because we are the ones working hard, more than bona. But bona, they get paid. They get paid, and we don't get paid. That's not fair. That's not fair. I balance the equation. My next point is that a compensation, as I've said, we'd like a compensation. Take home at least 10,000 with government benefits. The same as our traffic wardens, the same as our security guards. Nathi sayifuna le mali. Nathi sayifuna le mali. Nathi sifuna ukuba integrated. Sithole leyo compensation. When it comes to training and safety, second thing. When it comes to training and safety, there is no training and safety kuma patroller. Thina ma patroller, we don't have any sort of equipment for safety. When we're out there fighting igebengu estradini at night, asina nex. Asina kinopkiri, asina mvubu, sinezandla zethu kuphela. Siyola ngezandla nangenyawo. That's it. That's what we've been provided ukuthi si protect umphakathi ngayo. Is that fair? No. Is that how thina kumele simele umphakathi ngezandla zethu? But at the same time, abamphathi bethu, they don't recognize us. They don't recognize their efforts. Esiyenzayo phansi estradini masipatroller, masigada ikolo. Abagenzi lokho. So we decided ukuthi thina sosiphakamela thina. Tina, we're going to stand as our own, as a map patroller, who are on the ground working. Ukuthi Tina, we'll go to our bosses and say, Bomphat, chairperson, cela ukuthi nisize. Siyakhala kakhulu, akusiyimi kuphela nabo. Nayi database. Baningi, sakhala mphathi. We need your assistance. And then on my last point, ama grievances, nama threats. That's the reason why sicale ihlanganani. It's because ama patroller ayakhala. Ayakhala. Bonke lezi zinto lezi abakhala ngazo. Yilezi sihlanganisile, sa decide as ama patroller ukuthi we are going to open up ihlanganani organization NPO so that we can be able ukuthi sizilwele, sizikhalele, siziphushele kubomphathi bethu ukuthi bomphathi cela nivuleni amehlo. Sasebenza thina. And babonisile la functionality ama patrol njani. Sasebenza thina. Kodwa nisiboni. Nakancane. Asitholi nesent. Is that fair? No. Thank you.
Thank you. As I've indicated, that after this presentation, it's going to be open to the floor. yes, you can ask questions, but I would prefer more of suggestions on what needs to be done, because that's what is important for this engagement. Questions you can ask if you seek actually clarity, but let's get more suggestions on what needs to be done. We'll start this side. So please remember the name that this side. So it's 3 minutes each, so it will be number 1. Okay, let me stand up so I can see properly. It will be number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. So that's the side, 6. Ne? 3 minutes each. Ungasitsheli ngeweda, but introduce yourself. Uvela kuphi. Nosiqala la. And then this side, let me appoint, hands. And if a point has been raised, more iphinda kaningi, it doesn't mean important. It will be noted. So try not to repeat what other people have said. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is 4. So nyakumbula manambeni ngithi la. Kune afterthought emove. It will be number 5. 5 here, I say, you know, say it. Scrutiny is slow. My patrollers are slow. The one with us slow. I'm pulling your socks. Napa. We find the side. Okay. Thank you. Singakala again.
Dumela. Okay. Nna ke Sien Bulwana from Sebokeng. Hantle ke batla ho hatella taba ya ntati a ntse a bua mane. Hore re le dipatolasi re sebetsa ka thata and ha re consideriwe. Even the community I sa founela maponisa. Se founela rona. Because most of the time dikoloi di a shorta. But rona re batho ba le ba iloreng re patrolla ka maoto, and even re khona ho nka tsotsi from the location re ise police station ka maoto. Re khona ho nka victim le suspect re ise police station di lo sign a protection order, because most of the crime e tsahalang batho ba bolawa lo le matswa di protection order di le matsong a bona o sena maponesa go sena dikoloi. So most of us ba bang ba rona re isitswe ko training tsa bo di traffic warden, but are consideriwe ma relegation mona re sebetsa like we are getting paid. So nna le ke kopa hore a di patrolla se dinkelwe hlohong di nkuwe jwalo ka everyone, because re na le di traffic warden, re na le maponesa SAPS, but re sebetsa ho feta batho ba kgolang. Please ha re consider go jwalo ka everyone, ha re treatwe like everyone. Thank you.
Actually, guy, the thing is, okay, Constance Lesegonkwana from Soshanguve, under Retreat Police Station. Oh, I used to be, because they kicked me out. It's very painful and khubima. Especially ole motho wa mosadi, you've been forced to do dilo tse leng gore a wa tshwanna go dira. Especially we know and understand ra patrol. Mara taba tsa boshiu ole mosadi naga e nabile e palla the government e palla le maphodisa. Who are we? Nka se lwe ka ring, nka se lwe ka matswele. Sorry to say that. Ke utlwile go ntse go bolediwa mo, everything is all about Siyabangena. Everything is all about Siyabangena. Last time I signed the form of Barketa community in blue. Even this day of today, asanka ra kra dilo tseo. Uniform. O tlo patrola until bokate ya hao e fele mo diropeng without even being recognized. The uniform da tla go office, but then a di tswe. But I'm thinking and saying, the government, maybe they are trying, bona, gore ba tlise dilo tseo koo. Our police stations, I think, mo go mo ke bona ba ba failang. Because of, I cannot say uniform ha e tswile from the government, maybe the officials say, or ba bagolo bona ba ka di tseya, cause ha ona gore ba ka chepa ba tsamaya ka tsona. Another thing, mo dikolong go na le bothata bo bo serious. We know and understand gore budget ha e teng. Some of us re trainetse bo security bo ra tikirela di sira to say he ba re ba di nyaka dilo tseo re be le re na le tsona. But even now, are so hiriwe, are so iring. CPF it thomile khale mo bophelong ke beleilwe e le teng. My mother was part of CPF. I'm also ke joinile CPF. Mara go fitiwa go tswa di programe bo mapanyatsa bao ba re phala ka enkare a ba bereke selo bo tsena ba dira go sekolong ba ema khona ba bolela ka uniform a bona e tswa puileng is fine e tshwana le ya rena. But mmereko o rena re o berekang ba re kreile mo fielding, they are getting paid for that. Rena a recognize we a gona ntho e re thusang ka yona. And then the police station, yes, ke utlwile someone a re go na le di problems tse ding di seng go di police station in tsa lena le ska di tlisamo. He ba o cancela ba o thoma from go gating ba o delete le mo di group chatting. I remember he ke joina hlanganani ke tla so shangufi ke no itshwara mo tseleng ba re ngwana ha o ka montlong ga o sa mo fe maele o sa mo fe le nono o tlo utlwella bagelwane le bana. So it's what I did. Go tsena message ka mo groupung ya rena to say everyone a leng go hlanganani a tswa with immediate effect of ni so aka tlholo a berekile mo dikolong re ka se mo deploy of ni so aka tlholo a ba le rena mo, and I was deleted from the groups ka sala ke lemo. So my suggestion ke hore re ka nna ka mo di officing but it's wang le go di officing tsa rena. Maybe you are doing a good job guys, but ko tla se kwa ba senya lebitso la eng la lena ba le leng kodimo a ba re thusi ka selo. Ene ke nya go lukisa engwe ya gore maphodisa a bereke guys. The only time o tlo bona gore le phodisa la bereka ke lo tshwere. These people are working, ne? But the problem gore le phodisa ha le fetso arrest le o isa di seleng taba e fetsa ke magistrate a e fetse ke maphodisa la ntlhalwanya. So what I'm saying again gore batho ba di police station tsa rena ba re faila o itse re faila ke eng che motho he o almost tulong se se so wa seduma mara a sa itse re ditlhako tse o khonse e ba ba bokanang kanang ha nna mo stulong a re tla ba bontsha o tsenetse kae mo di matlala. That is why I cannot have le lumba ya CPF.
Thank you. Number 3.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Precious Mkachani. I'm from Moroka Police Station. I'm representing Moroka. I don't know whether it's a question or a concern, what I'm about to say. I'm one of the members that has been working in Siabangena. The Siabangena that it has been praised since we came here. That Siabangena that is being praised, there are a lot of abuse there. Patrollers are being abused. I myself have been abused also. And then we've been reporting this matter to the department. We've been suffering the abuse under the department's watch. We've been calling the directors, the officials, they know, but they kept quiet.
Is the abuse from who?
From the coordinators, the operational commander. I'm not even scared to say his name, Peter Rataiman. I'm not even scared to say that. Also, when it comes to stipend, Chair, it's a problem. I saw Puluko, the person that is in charge of our stipend. He's here. He knows the story. He knows the story, Chair. When we're supposed to get stipend, it's a problem. It can be 6 months, I don't care. But you will even stay 2 months without payment. You will complain, and then it will end up nowhere. There's a lot of abuse there, Chair. Even like sexual harassment, it's there. They cannot talk, but it's there. Even the positions are given to their girlfriends. I've been asking if there are positions in Siabangena or in the department, which criteria are they using to employ those people? Because some of the patrollers here, they're qualified. They've got metrics, even more. But they are not included. You will be introduced that now this is your commander. And then when you look, that person is supposed, maybe it's a friend or a girlfriend. So, Chair, as patrollers, as I'm representing Muroka, with my station, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with my station or with my police official and everybody. The relationship is good. But with this Yabangena, even now, after the rotation, they said it's a rotation, but that rotation, it was selective. Some of the corridors, there was a rotation, but in Joburg, only selected stations that were excluded in the Siabangena. Other stations are still there because they are friends to Peter Raitaiman. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
And we need an intervention in that matter. Thank you.
Number 4.
Ke a le dumedisa kaofela.
Thanks, Patricia.
Leina la ka ke Dikeledi Mashilo. Le nna, same as my colleague mo, I don't know hore ke re I ke fall under Boschkop police station because le nna I recently served with a dismissal letter. A dismissal letter that I am in Hlanganani group. So, ke ema mo question ya ka e le hore rona re le mapatrola South African rights e a re ama kapa ha e re ame na. Because it seems molao wa mo South Africa ho na le batho bao ba coverang and then ho na le bao sa ba covering. More especially molao ha o fihla ka mo rona mapatrola o ka re o re hatella because of re tlile in the name of volunteer. O ka re lebitso la hore re tlile ka volunteer le bontsha hore o ka re tlile re sokotse hore o ka re tla ba thulusi ya motho mong lo mongwe. Ene ke utlwa botlhoko ka di sector managers tsa rona. Di sector managers tsa rona they don't act like leaders. They are bosses because of the uniforms tsa bona o ka re ke tsona tse ileng hore di etsa hore ha re ba bona re tshwanetse hore re utlwelle whatever e bona ba re bolellang hore re tshwanetse re etse le ha e le wrong. Nna hona byanong ke victimiziwa le ho kubiwa only because of ka nako ya sharing ya stipend sa ko dikolong. Our sector manager is the one who trying to turn us to do a shutdown go dikolong only because of the stipend is too little, only to find out hore hona le batho ba hae ba na plan hore rona ha re etsa shutdown and then yena a kenye batho bao ba hae mo. Unfortunately nna ke ile against le taba ya shutdown ka bolella dikolo tse di leng teng ka re no, there is no such because contract rona re e signile ntho re tlabeng re etsa re tlabeile re are against a contract ya rona. So victimization e thoma hona mo ne ke le wrong hore ke stand by my principles only because I am a patroller yena o mo uniformong. No, na ne ke kopela hore nna molao o ka re ka lebella ka leitlho le lengwe. Taba ya victimization ya mapatroller is too much. And hone yanong ha re joina group ya Hlanganani e bang ka re ile mo ngwana mollo mong ha tshwara ke tlala ka mo hae kapa le yona ntja ha o sa ifi dijo ka mo hae o tlo jumpa di trata ya yo zula ko ntle. Is the very same thing e re etsang re lebella mo ileng hore re ka utlwellwa ka re bona nka re rena mo South Africa molao wa South Africa ha o recover each and every time mo dikolong ho fiwa molao wa hore le tlo trainwa for security is a contract re signing each and every year but a go iragale ho but wena tshela molao o mo one then but you've been dismissed your patrona number is going to be cancelled. And then what about the government? More contracting area signer. They bind themselves that we are going to give you a training, but the training is each and every year. I thank you.
Thank you. Number 5.
Sanibonani man bakithi. Sizo sakithi uVictor okhulumayo uhlawathi Sibongo. Che ngizocela ungivumele ngithi ukusummarize nje one of the two things before ngizongena kumhlahlandlela. Angithi che ngivumele
Can do it in
ulibo lwakithi angithi. CPF was established 1991 and finalized 1995. And I became a patroller since 1999 till to date. Don't get the figure just jump as patrollers. I know about the community in blue 2014. And we were promised that patrollers will become community in blue. There's a blue uniform that is coming for patrollers. And guess what? Community in blue was launched 2018. And as angazi abobani, subsidy obani, and then what do they get the budget to run CPF patrollers? And we're sidelined. Fine. There comes bathina mapanyaza. Yeah, mapanyapanya. Ma green beans abanye or whatever crime wardens. Yes, we were called ku lento le babiza ukuthi iziveze sinikezwa ama jacket lawa seyikolweni orange simiswa lapha sishuthwa ithombe, and then they said you must come with your bank statement. A form or that you will fill, what you call this form? What you call this form? Yeah, bank forms. Yeah, we came bank of statement and then bank forms. Says anazo. Nama ID copy, satisfied and everything, and then we've been told we will be get paid. And kuna ma patroller, I think our toller ama 800 rand. Once off amanye bawaropa bawanikeza ama 400 rand. Those patrollers bawatshela ukuthi ama patrollers strategies azokhola that amount. Till today asazi ukuthi yaphela lapho lonto le. Kunama patroller bewasebenza ku COVID. Ma patroller khona amaningi azangethola imali yabo. Sengisho ukuthi chair this thing ye yama crown warden na besi sazi ukuthi will come to us as CPF patrollers.
As you conclude,
I don't know, Chair, in that meeting, in that Ziveze, we've been told we will be taken to be crime wardens. And that never happened. Such a long gear and staff and uniforms. The uniforms that they are talking about, Chair, in this contract is reflect. That's the uniform they are talking about. The uniform they are in pajamas in overall. That uniform was made for my festive season. Only patrollers of festive season that about my uniform. Tina strategy. We have nothing, it's not reflector. It's what they are contracting. When we get, you see a contract, then you go there, tell you reflect. My uniform now, the low reflector.
So, Yakreta?
Chair, Telugu Nival Moguti, Jobushi Luguti, Yinum Tatanke, Ekfanele, Siweze, Blumi Sayonkele. Nitela, restructuring of community patrollers. Let us start it afresh. Let us start it afresh. Seasonento, ezo sebenzela community patrollers. I thank you.
Thank you. We're coming this side.
Mangbonge, Mqinisihlalo chairperson of the day. Gegama, Uthandi Shabalala, the patroller from Didier in Sedibeng. Now, in in the opening of this session, sithola the reset of the agenda, which is national. Mina manje ngizithola ngine challenge ukuthi the reset agenda, if iGauteng izithola ine challenge engaka yama non-functionality of CPF boards, how are we going to achieve that? Now mhlawumbe because kubekwe ama 5-year term ya these boards, masithembe chairperson ukuthi there are interventions in place which is rectify such incompetency leadership. Now mina ngikhomba straight eCitibank is 22%. I-challenge ithi esifunda lapha phambili ithi parallel structures. No, Hlanganani is not just a parallel structure. It is as a result of non-functionality. Right now, today, there's an absence here, the so-called CPF, to answer and give you clarity as the department. Mina, as I'm standing here, I'll give you a mandate. Ngphinde nginiphe nje uvavavumo othi Gauteng is able, if we can enhance what we are talking about, strengthening of the lasting quality life in our communities. Remember, you also said you are a broader sphere or a broader sector, which involves not excluding in the infrastructure. And it, my revenue collections. Emfuleni is down on revenue collection. Ama patrola hlelila, our toll stipend. Yes, abakhuluma nge-payment. How are we going to sibeki sinkwa kanjani etafuleni sabantwana? Nabethu abantwana baye estradini baya kunyawupe singama patrola. Because ukuthiwa no sidemand umsebenzi. No, dignified compensation. It's dignified compensation. Isho ukuthi mina ngizowulalela na kanjani protocol I'll follow if nami isidima sami siyabonakala. Now Gauteng can achieve that if we can stand together. And standing together means ukuthi even the launching of the integrated program, GBVF, that is proposed by the acting minister. In fact, angifuni nokuthi acting minister, ngithi mina the minister at the upper level has proposed even the budget. Let there be the integration of the GBF and the patrol CPF be formalized. Whatever that was presented, la pena, the legal framework, is in practical. Sizobonga kakhulu chairperson wami uma ngivala chairperson wami mangithi mina chairperson Gauteng is able sikhona, give us the work. We sacrificed a lot on the ground. We are committed as patrollers to do the work on the ground.
Thank you. Number 2.
Sanibonani. Ngicela ukunibingelela nonke nabaphathi bethu lapho phambili. Igama lami nguNkosinathi wakwaGazide. Nizo represent Ifosloras police station from Eguruleni. I've been here Uma patrollers since from 2012. Namhlanje senginwenwele ezinhloko. Bonakala ngathi nje uma ngabe ngiya epolice station. Angathi sikhuluma ngezimvo zama patrollers. Siyadeleleka. Ama-CPF asiphethe kabuhlungu kabi ema-police station. Ngendlela akhuluma ngakhona kabi ngathi. Ngendlela akhuluma kabi ngakhona ubaba uMkhonto. Siyabonga kakhulu. Kunamagama engiwazile boma last week kukhulunywa ngama banya ama traffic warden ukuthiwa azoya with training. And angizwa kukhulunywa ngama patrollers.
always ukhunya ngamapanyapanya mawuzothi afika ezikoleni masidiploma mhlambe bafuna edition bathi bacela ama patrollers azo intervene just because ngathi abantwana basezo abantwana basezikoleni ba ngendlela abahlukumeza ngakhona awuthisha bayabashaya sizwile ukuthi nakwezinye indaba abadubula so uma ngabe kunzima ke kucela ama patrollers abe khona sithi masiyafika siyangena egate sithola ipanyapanya ihlele phansi ibhizi ngamafoni ba-hotspota kunama-Wi-Fi kodwa manje inyanga mayiphela ama-patrollers awaholi it's very painful uhola bona sicela le ndaba efana nalena sinithatheni serious siyasogola ama-patrollers ayasogola and ayahlukunyezwa lastly ngizocela ngabe mude kwezinye izinto sengikhavile kune-issue le yama-patroller number abangafuni ukusinikeza wona edition bathi ngithi ngicela nisipheni ama-patroller number wama-patrollers nizowenzani ngokuthi mangizonikeza lama-patroller number bazothini phezulu wobani laba baphezulu abala nama-patroller number wama-patroller so sizocela leyo ni-investigate siyazi kahle ukuthi laba abaphethe phezulu abacontroller lama-coordinators wama-CPF abobani ngicela ni-investigate njengoba eshilo omunye lapha phambili wama-leader makumele ukuthi kumadlanga aphe i-role yakhe akayidlali. I thank you very much.
Thank you. Number 3.
Dumelang le kae?
Actually, kwana number 5, kwana last. So number 3, uitibet. Kocho o covered. Okay. Yeah, mara kere kene ke tshera. So it means you are covered. Okay. Number 3.
Number 3 one.
Not wena baba. Awukho number. Awukho abantu abakhuluma. Number 5.
All protocol observed. Ominga phamkwenu umduduzi wakamolo. Chair, I have heard points that have been actually said by our speakers. Let's start to a little bit highlight from the Department of Community Safety. The reports that the lady is talking about, how can she receive them while our CPF members who don't care whatever happens to any patroller on the road, you receive them to you or send them to you on the ground. This is a good point, Nancy. We are the patrollers. We make sure good communities sleep peacefully at night. And guess what? We are risking. At the end of the day, we are going to be called a vigilante. To chair day in and night out. Gutis last but at the end of the day, you will be called fools by our chair, who's not present at this current moment, but who was here earlier on. No one cares. We as foot patrollers, whether it's school patrollers, what do we go through? At the end of the day, the only thing they will tell us, we are nothing, and on top of being those nothings, we risk our lives to make sure those children in those schools, they get home safely. Even the same teachers that the department praises, by us, without us, there's no safety in the schools. Billions are being spent, my chair, and of which is very much demising. There's no integration that has been made, but throughout the whole lot of promises that are being made by this sitting and different, all those things. We are not just volunteers. Let's just get that straight. We only jump in to say you volunteer because you want to help. Kusasa umakudlungula yakho ingane uzothini. Kusasa umakugenela umakhelwane wakho wazi ukuthi uma ungekho wena uvikelo wena uzothini. Because we took upon it ourselves ukuthi sihlangane as patrollers, njengoba senze i-patrollers hlanganani, where sikwazi ukuthi voice out for those who can't voice out. Ngoba uma bethi baqala baphakamisa izwi labo, they are being stamped down. Ngoba ngithi uyazi nangabe sihamba ngey'khundla che i-density eka-high noya ingathi iyaqina nyana.
Lastly,
we are parents, we are wives, we are brothers and sisters who risk their lives every day. Bese bayaglorify abantu abangayideserve iglory. Ngiyabeza bayakhuluma omemeza, ngiyabeza bayakhuluma obani nobani, but abantu ababalekile akumele ukuthi bawabone ilabantu abayuser as pawns to get their millions. At the end of the day, we die like peasants. No one is even acknowledging that. We have ladies and gentlemen who die and get raped, but the department does not do anything about it. Because why? We are just peasants. We are just there to make them millions and make them flourish. As if they know what is happening on the ground. It's very much demising.
Number 4. Number 5, ujahile.
Sanmanani, lo okhulumayo unathi, wakamkhasi, most they know me, but Kamalami Uzelovia. I'm a deputy chairperson at GPHO. So this one is dedicated to Sisi, Masikelo. Excuse me if I'm busy wrong, ne? It's funny, we never got any complaints. I think we've complained several times, and then TJ Masilela will always bring us a letter telling us we are nothing, we are volunteers. We should not complain about anything as a patroller. When you should do your job. So as Ihlanganani, we organized this NPO because we thought of our grievances. We cried so many times, crying, but we having no answer. And then when you talk about Tuguti as complaining, police station, that's not true. We always complain, but we do not get the feedback. Never, not even once. So we started this, and then we started to investigate, and then we started with our first sacrifice. Then when we find out Tuguti, we are dying, most of us, we are getting raped while we are doing our job with no equipment. And then we started to have a betrayal from TJ Masilela, who is our chairperson as a CPF. And then he's calling us vigilant fools and all that. And then we started having solution and demands. These ones are the ones that we started to write down, and then we thought about it. We are not volunteer. We do not need charity. We just need jobs and dignity. That's it. That's what we want. And then only, if you can just intervene, Chairperson, and the rest of the legislature, only if you can just make us happy, that 5,000 people you take from Patroller of us and then train them, I think most of us will be happy. We will be very pleased with that. We do being recognized. And then in that, the compensation we need, because I think last week we had Useli Sufu, Honorable Sufu, talking about green beans are going to be peace wardens and all that. The compensation that they are getting, green beans, can't we also get that? Are we that invisible? We not recognize that 8 point something. Not we deserve that. And then we have 3 asks. These ones we just need, honorable members, all the stakeholders who are here. These 3 asks is something that we wrote. We just need to intervene and stop intimidation against us. Give us a written commitments from you guys. Time frame, that's what we need. This is the time frame we're giving you. You're going to be trained. You're going to be like green beans. Nati, we deserve that. And then the budget for in 2026 and 2027, it was adjusted. Please, can you sign an MOU? Which Nati, we also part of that budget. That's all we need. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 5. Number 5. So it's cut out for much.
Dumelang Botlong, le kae? Ke teng. Nna ke Mapule Mpasane from Naledi Police Station. Problem ya ka, unfortunately, TJ Masilela ha ayo. Ne ke batla ho mmotsa hore di patrollers why a di hloile a di treata ka tsela eo a di treatang ka yona. Ntho ya pele a ka deploywa ke le patrol from 2007 ntse ke le ground fall but a ka deploywa because of TJ Masilela a re ke joinile hlanganane a never ke deploywe and on romeletse ka Peter right man hore a tlo njwetsa hore a ke na right ya hore ke lo deploywa la nka ba le patrol ka tsoa everyday ka ba underground but nka se deploywe because of ke joinile hlanganane. Number 2, re fumane message from our chairperson from CPF. A re bolela hore if ever wa lemala or wa hlokahala, safety e re ha ona moo e kenang teng. Number 3, re rometse di database tsa rona ko di police station. Re na le di database ko police station re vetiwe re ma patrol. But only to find hore go safety hari yo ko database and the only person o ileng hore o teng ko database ke motho ona le patroller number but nna since from 2007 a kena patroller number ene ke jwedilwe hore ha nka le mala a ba account anyway cause aban Roma ke tlile ka o rata wa ka hore ke patrol. So ke tlo dula ntse ke le volunteer ho fihlela neng ke eng se kwebo se ileng hore ma patrol a se server se ileng hore a se fele ke nana le motho o ileng a bolaya motho le ena ha thola sekwebo sa hae wa chargewa e fele criminal record ya hae a service kwebo sa hae ho fela but ma patrol ha a service kwebo se ileng hore a se fele and threat e re thola from TJ Masilela high healthy TJ o hlokometse ma patrol ke tibetse ko police station ke blelwa hore ke joinile hlanganane police station ke member ya community ke member ya sector mare ke tibetswe ko police station because of ke joinile hlanganane. If o joinile hlanganane police station ha yo batle ha wa tlameya ho emella o yetse di duties so tloileng ho di etsa because of o joinile hlanganane. So nna ke kopa ntho e one safety ke kopa re respect ma patrol re deserve respect ha re hlomphiwe as the patrollers please ra kopa we are not a puppet re batho re batswadi re batla bana ba rona le rona ba duletse ka hawa di stakeholder di dutse so ba bane le bright future because of rona re matha strateng re tsama ho reduce crime so bana ba rona ba deserve a better life ka di effort tsa rona so please re kopa di patrollers di hlomphiwe please.
We are done with all the speakers from the floor. So I'm going to allow members to make short, brief, 2 minutes comments on what they've heard. We'll start with Member Nkani, Member Gunene, Michael. Oh, Member Bosch is not here. So yeah, 2 minutes.
Thanks, Chair, but 2 minutes, you are just oppressing me because
I know.
There are so many things that I've heard here.
In 2 minutes.
We really need to address some of them. Chair, it looked like the issue of crime, we've turned it to business instead of attending to criminal issues. And you can see how our safety is being compromised. Our people's safety is being compromised. We are living in a situation where you'll find a criminal carrying criminal goods, selling them for almost a kilometer in a street, getting in house to house, selling that without being arrested, because we are living in an environment that is not conducive. We've got three types of our environment. Kona bantu abaphila e-paradise, kona baphila kanana, kona baphila ka hell, busatan. And uzwile ama presentation mawangena la. Ukuthi kona bantu abanemali zabo, i-crime ya reduce. Uzwile ukuthi khona abantu abakhalayo abafuna abazicommittee voluntarily ukuthi badile ngecrime and akunani kusenzakalayo. So there are many things. So ngoba unginikeza 2 minutes, I will have counted so many areas. But I will request ukuthi masibe ne safety and security imbizo, because we were talking about security. We never touch base on safety. So there are many issues that we really need to achieve in this thing. Can the community try to have a safety imbizo that will never sit almost 1 day, at least maybe 3 to 5 days? We sit, we deliberate on these issues and come with something common that will help our communities. Failing to do this will play in the wrong system and the system that will never change the lives of our people. Crime will continue as usual and it will be there day in and day out. Let's change this thing now and for all. Thank you.
Yeah. No, Chair, it's just a short question to the department. Have they received these complaints about Bob Masilela and Upita Daimani and such complaints? That will be just my only question.
Thank you, Chair. A question and also an observation. I see from Brigadier Joseph's presentation, and thank you, Brigadier, your presentation has always been very clear. And also in the subsequent presentation that we spend money on items that are necessary. And please don't get me wrong, through you, Chair, that we do need reflectors, we do need boots, we do need things to identify our patrollers and CPF members. But we're not spending the money where it's needed. We are spending money on promotional items. Now, if I was a community patroller walking the streets of Orange Farm, Ivory Park, and I come across a criminal, what am I going to do? Am I going to show him the ruler from the promotional item? Am I going to give him the umbrella from the promotional items? I want to suggest that we need to better budget and speak to the community patrollers and the members that are keeping our neighborhood safe. What do you need to make sure that you protect the residents? I think that's where we should be spending the money. And secondly, to the community patrollers, I know, and I'm saying this without any disrespect, it is a problem of unemployment. Many of our community patrollers come to this position thinking it will become an employment. But we also see the structure does not allow for that. So there's a bigger thing we need to address. And I also identified that we don't have a process of escalating grievances. I'm very concerned, lady, when you said the lady in the light green clothes, I'm very concerned that even our community patrollers get sexually abused or harassed. How can we, the protectors, be out there and still feel vulnerable from GBV? So please, we need to hear about those things. And I hear my colleague earlier mentioned, what kind of abuse? I think this is what we need to hear more about. We cannot cover this up and just mention that there are abuses. We need to know, other than the poor working conditions, but the actual abuse that's going on within this system. We need to fix it. So, Chair, having said that, I definitely want to agree that we need to have a proper session where we need all parties to be here and be part of the solution. And I also want to, in closing, say thank you very much. We appreciate that you're going out. I've walked the street with community patrollers, and I know the battles, I know the difficulties. It's not easy, but we need to continue to do that because we did this as a calling. But when you're doing the calling, you must also feed your family, you must also feed yourself. So I hear you, and I want to say thank you for your hard work. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We are rushing towards the end, and I think most of the points and the issues raised are quite important and pertinent in us addressing. Like I've said, when we started, we needed to, in a real sense, have this conversation to identify where the bottlenecks are, where the weaknesses are, so that when we come up with a way forward with the engagement of all involved, the police, the Department of Community Safety, ourselves, we are able to come up with a structure and a framework that will be workable. And I'm certain that all of us wouldn't want to do anything that is not within the law. You know, all the things that we agree on should be within the prescripts of the law and should be within and compliance of the regulations that have been put in place. As lawmakers, we might have an opportunity to also change some of the laws or regulations that needs to be changed to facilitate a proper functional community policing sector. And as I'm going to allow Brigadier Joseph and they wrote HOD Mohoros in front of you. They must remove that thing. You know, to just respond in 3 minutes is not to really give, we are going to have a follow-up session because we are going to decipher and decode this report and come up with suggestions that we'll discuss as a committee and we'll also share with the people who are here as stakeholders. Brigadier Joseph.
No, thank you, Honourable Chair. And thank you for the honesty that was given by the patrollers that we are today. But Chair, I cannot stand here and justify the fact that people have been sexually assaulted. In this day and age, I can't. So if we've allowed it, it must stop now. We need the people to come and give us statements. So we can ensure cases are opened, they are investigated, and the people are brought to task. That's not negotiable. Not at all. So please, Chair, that's what I ask, and we also welcome further sessions, and we're willing to give all of our support, and thank you to everybody in all the other departments. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Honourable Chairperson and members, and all the stakeholders for questions and comments that have been raised. I think perhaps what is first key that we'll need to determine, I had Guno Deputy, Babum Konta, I take it you are the founder, so we will need to consolidate all these complaints so that we can then be able to follow them through. Supposedly, they are supposed to be taken to stations, but I also get a sense that somewhere in Koshiwe, and there might be that difficulty of getting those complaints. So let's consolidate them, Babum Konto and your deputy, so that we can then start investigating, so that we can then give progress and deal with issues that are there. There was a question also from Member Gunene, if we know. We don't, because when we go and do assessments, there are files of complaints that are registered. So you wouldn't find those written there unless somebody somewhere hides them. So let's then maybe get them so that we can be able to go and investigate further. There's clearly a gap in the system of how we manage complaints of patrollers, and we'll need to engage with the board and tighten, because they are our people who are supposed to be receiving these complaints, so that as we do assessments, we can then be able to deal and assist where there are challenges. But if that system is failing, it then means we will have to take these comments directly, Chair, and be able to deal with them. I think the other comments really we've noted, and we'll be able to see as we go back how we take them into account. I don't know if there's any other that I might have left for us as a department. We support issue of safety in Bizo. Yeah, I think the rest, it's mainly complaints that we then need to formalize so that we can submit and be able to handle them. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. As I've said, that the responses were not meant to respond to everything, but they are processes that we are going to follow in addressing the complaints. and we are at the end of the meeting. There are going to be follow-up engagements to address all the challenges. One glaring challenge that one have seen, I think Prof. Rakubu spoke about it, that existence of structures doesn't really translate to functionality and impact. The second part that is important that we need to note is that community policing is not necessarily a level of law enforcement that deals with, that replaces police. Police will still remain police, but they help and assist the communities to keep themselves safe. There are a lot of lessons and contributions that have been made on how this functional police, community policing level can be very much effective if we do things and be led properly. For me, it's not mechanical, it shouldn't be mechanical. Somebody spoke about tick boxing, that we are all happy to tick box, but not to really make visible changes. We hope that by the time the discussion starts at national level, we will be far advanced as Gauteng to formalize ourselves. And we need to use this crowd and these stakeholders who are here to be able to advance that cause. And I would like to also indicate that the challenges of the financial constraints are real. And we need to see how, that's a nice song. We need to see how we are able to utilize the budget of the department, the budget from the SAPS, and the budget or the grants or the generosity that we get from business to just formalize that as Gauteng. The last part of my comment, which I've expressed my disappointment to the leadership of the board in terms of their absence. In actual fact, it's not really absence, it's just they withdrew from participating from the engagement, which was quite disheartening because it means they undermine processes of the legislature. It's like they believe that they are doing us a favor to be present, and we will take up that matter differently with the department, but something needs to be done. Our most problems that are here are not supposed to even be engaged by us. If truth be told, they're supposed to be addressed by the leadership. And I think your presentation just also confirmed that you rely more on them making sure that the structures are functional and there's impact in the space. What is worrying is that, that's why there's a call about this grievance about freedom of association. In other spaces, I think the neighborhood watches, they do work well with CPF, and they are not said that they are organizing themselves outside CPF, and the police must not work with them. So it means that there are different standards for different people. So it is a problem. The finance problem is there, it's real. The leadership issue is real. And we are going to. I've requested some of yourselves as, the leaders that have engaged, that trust the process. Trust the work that we're trying to do. It might not be like as soon as you'd want it to be, but we are trying to sort out everything as it were. And if you want other people to intervene, you can, we will continue our work as we have committed to yourselves. But sometimes you give an impression to other people that you came to us, you made an issue, and then it's like we're not doing nothing about it. I was quite a bit disappointed in some of the things. But thank you so much. Thank you for all of you to be here. It's not the last time we will be engaging. And if you feel that there are other matters and other issues that you still want to raise with us, the committee is available. Tabile will forward you their email addresses and WhatsApp just to continue. I do receive all the grievances for that matter, on a daily and hourly basis. That's how efficient the system is. But thank you, honorable members, for making time. Thank you, Prof. Rakubu, as always, to be with us. Thank you. We have heard you. They call it the broken window syndrome or broken window approach, where you have to fix small things first for the bigger things to happen. We will raise the issue of bylaws with metros. We have our quarterly engagement with the Metro Police departments across the province. We will raise it. Thank you, Bratani. Do I call it Bratani? What's your... Ute udlala ibhola, so what is your nickname? Oh, okay. Sparks, okay. Thank you, Mabel. Thank you, the department officials. Pass our gratitude to the department, the leadership of the department, and may the Premier get well soon. Thank you, Brigadier Joseph. As always, truly appreciated every time. I think it's a valuable engagement, and I'm certain you have seen where the shortfalls are. So the meeting stands adjourned. Thank you so much. We took 3 hours, 8 minutes, which included the break that we had. So I think we're pretty much efficient in terms of time. Thank you. Yeah? Ungasukumi baba. But le millions we in, why millions we in? But